Hello, KAHI listeners.
Oh, hey, Ann.
Your host,
Okay, time for seniors.
At 6 a.m. on Saturdays, but we moved to 12 noon.
Yes, you
Time
did.
for Seniors is your local senior resource show, bringing all the important
Top of the hour. Not quite sure what I'm going to talk about yet.
Financials, medical, keep you
But
updated on current scams, hear inspirational stories.
Either way, it's going to be good.
So tune in Saturdays at noon on FM 104.5, AM 950, KAHI, the voice of the Fed.
FM 104.5, H283CM, Auburn, and AM 950, KAHI, Auburn.
And good Tuesday morning to you, Tuesday, March 19th, right smack dab at the top of the hour, 6 a.m. here at FM 104.5, AM 950, KAHI, voice of the foothills. And happy first day of spring to you. Maybe I'm the first to wish it to you because it's darn early in the morning. So maybe I am the first one to wish you happy first day of spring. Maybe your allergies are the first ones to wish you, hey, happy first day of spring as you're getting started. My wife is the early indicator. She's gotten allergies recently over the last couple of years that are pretty nasty, and she's one of those that'll settle in there right in her sinuses. Develops a cough, and so poor thing. I I thought I had bad allergies, but then I look at my poor wife, and maybe knock on wood, but I'm knocking on my head right now. Maybe they've transferred from me over to her, poor thing, and because I haven't been feeling it so far. Adam, knock on wood. Throw some salt over our shoulder. I don't know. Like I don't want them, don't need them, but I felt a little bit in that fog this morning as I'm driving in this morning. You know, have you had that little bit of that brain fog going like, things aren't quite computing as quickly as I would think that I would like them to. Maybe it's the allergies that are coming on. Just maybe it's a mental thing. Like it's spring. It's a little bit warmer this week, but then it's going to rain again, and it's still we're in that weird in between time of winter and spring. But you know what? It's coming. The days are getting longer. It's getting a little sunnier outside again. If it could just stay in the mid 70s all the time, I know that's San Diego weather, but if it could just stay there all the time, and let's not do the 90s and the 100s degree weather yet, I would be just okay with that. But we'll see what comes our way. But happy day to you. Happy March 19th. If it is your birthday today, happy stinking birthday to you. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. If it's your birthday, I actually hope you're still asleep. I actually hope you don't have to get up this early on your birthday. But if you do, I hope you're up, you're getting everything that you want today, that folks are celebrating with you. And if nobody's celebrating with you, doggone it, I'm celebrating with you. So happy birthday to you. If you have a birthday today, you share it with a few famous people. How about David Livingstone, Scottish missionary, there we go, an explorer, died in 1873, but he was born on this day in 1813. Dr. Livingstone, I presume. Wyatt Earp, American police officer, born on this day in 1848, died in 1929. You remember the OK Corral. Tombstone. One of my absolute favorite movies of all time is Tombstone. That is, we're going to talk about an all-star cast and a well done movie. Tombstone is fantastic. Let's see. William Jennings Bryan, American lawyer, politician, was born on this day in 1860. Moms Mabley, American comedian and singer, died in 1975, but she was born on this day in 1894. And we've got Glenn Close, American actress, born on this day in 1947, and Bruce Willis. It says German-American actor. Is he really? Is he dual citizenship there? I didn't know that. Anyway, Bruce Willis, born on this day in 1955. If you're wondering what things to celebrate today other than a birthday, I'll tell you. You've got absolutely incredible Kid Day, and I'll brag on my kids a little bit later because they are incredible. I do love my kids. Chocolate Caramel Day, if you're looking for some dessert ideas. Let's Laugh Day. Hey, we'll do that a little bit later on today for our daily dad jokes. Make you laugh, sigh, probably roll your eyes. And it's Poultry Day, so maybe a chicken for dinner tonight if you're looking for something to do for dinner tonight. On this day in history, Bob Dylan in 1962 released his first album, Bob Dylan, for Columbia Records. In 1993, Operation Iraqi Freedom began. I remember that. And 1918, U.S. Standard Time Act established time zones in the United States. Really? In 1918, there were time zones that were established in the United States. Before that, were we all just on the same time? That is super interesting. Well, there you go. There's some fun facts and trivia for you as we're getting started for this March 19th. And gang, we are just getting started. And to do that, we need to find out what our weather's looking like today. For that, we turn it over to meteorologist Tim Root. Timmy, how are we looking for today?
Good morning and welcome to the first day of spring. It'll be mostly sunny. It's going to feel like spring in the low 70s today. Light southwest winds. Mostly clear overnight in the mid to upper 40s. And the light winds will continue. Southwest wind about 10 miles per hour Wednesday. Mostly sunny in the mid to upper 60s. A little bit cooler, but not bad. Thursday, mostly sunny around 65 degrees. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
Does your electricity bill shock you? Trim that bill down by changing your rate plan. Matching your electric usage to the right rate plan can save you money. Visit pge.com/rate analysis to compare rate plans to see if you can save. Take a bite out of your electricity bill. Check your rate plan today. This money-saving tip brought to you by
Pioneer Community. 5 minutes past the top of the hour. Coming up in our next segment, we're going to have your Fox Business Report. Also, look for some community events around here. A lot going on around here. Things are really starting to pick up. We've got stuff here at the end of March. April's coming, and then May. And my goodness gracious, folks, before you know it, summer's going to be here. Keep you up to date on all of that. We're going to head off now to America's First News. I'll see you back here in just a little bit. All right. First opening done. That's all right. Hey, good morning, Matt. Oh, I did not play a commercial. That is a paid commercial, so I need to put it back in here because you got to play the paid commercials. That is an absolute must. So I got to find it. What is it? Find it over here. There we go. We're going to put it right there. We'll just play it in our next segment. Perfect. Okay, so got that in there. Sports ball. Let's get that ready to go. Let's
That's just nonsense. Our position is that Hamas should not be
do
allowed to see
NBA
any Rafah
scores.
but a major
And
ground
we're gonna
operation
do
would be a mistake. It would lead to more innocent civilian deaths,
Not an
worse
actual
than the already dire humanitarian crisis,
scores. Are you ready for opening day? Here's your guide.
and further isolate Israel internationally. More importantly, the key goals Israel wants
Wednesday,
to achieve in Rafah
Dodgers
can be done by
versus-
other means.
Oh, that's going
On
to
the
be a
call
big game.
today, President Biden asked the Prime Minister to send a senior interagency team
Scores.
composed of military,
There we go.
intelligence, and
And
humanitarian officials
NCAA.
to Washington in the coming days to hear U.S. concerns about Israel's current Rafah planning and to lay out
There
an
we go.
alternative
All right,
approach
so we got
that would
those
target
teed
key
up.
Hamas elements in Rafah and secure the
And
Egypt-Gaza border
NBA
without
teed up.
major ground invasion.
The call between the two came after Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer called Netanyahu an obstacle to peace, calling for an election in Israel. Netanyahu on CNN claimed Israeli support his prosecution of the war, despite polls showing
And-
Israelis want an election.
Well, we'll see when we win
Kings.
the war.
Oh,
Until
here
we
we
win the
go.
war, I think Israelis understand
Kings
that if
win.
we were to have elections now, before the war is won,
Adam, get the flashlight ready.
we would have at least 6 months of
Kings
national
win.
analysis, which means we would lose the war. If we don't win the war, we lose the war. And that would be not only a defeat for Israel, but a defeat
All
for
right,
America
so
too.
sports
Because
ball.
our victory is your victory. We're fighting these
Will
barbarians.
you
that are
commit
not
to
here
new
for the
elections
survival of
when the
Okay,
war
and community events was our first one here.
Will you commit to new elections?
I think that's something for the Israeli
Rollerblade.
people to
Oh, I didn't do the
But it's
rollerblade
not-
yesterday.
It's not something
Coming up
well,
the
it's something-
29th.
That's something for the Israeli people
Okay,
to
that's
decide.
coming.
I think it's ridiculous to talk about it. It's like after 9/11.
I feel like we talked about this
after
yesterday.
9/11, you're in the midst of fighting the war against Al Qaeda.
Okay, what
And
are we
the
going to talk
Israeli
about here?
would say, you know what we need now is either new
Gold
elections
Country
in the US
Pro
or the system
Rodeo.
doesn't allow, that President Bush should resign and we should have an alternative leader. You don't do that.
But
You
let's
don't
talk
do
about
that.
why.
It's a
A sister
palooza.
of a democracy to an ally. You don't talk about that. What you do talk about
Servants
is
and
how
help.
do we help you defeat what President Biden called sheer evil. You don't just stop after you destroy 80% of sheer evil.
Biden administration
Blue Jeans
officials
Bonanza.
warned that they would not support an operation in Rafah
Here we
without
go.
Israelis presenting a credible plan to ensure the safety
We're gonna
of
talk
innocent
about
Palestinian civilians. Israel has yet to present
Saturday,
such a
April
plan,
20th.
according to the White House. Former President Donald Trump Monday charged that Jews who vote for Democrats hate Israel and hate their religion,
Sophomores?
igniting a firestorm of
Soroptimist?
criticism from the White
Did I
House.
say sophomores yesterday? It's Soroptimist. Holy cow.
Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over his handling of the war.
I'm such a dork. I said sophomores. It's Soroptimist.
They hate Israel and the Democratic Party hates Israel. Trump, who last week became the Republican Party's presumptive nominee, went on to charge any
You're
Jewish
repeating
person
stuff,
that
Matt, but I'm
voted
actually going to
for their
repeat stuff
religion.
as well.
President
Because
Joe Biden signed an executive order Monday
Oh,
directing
this
the study
thing's-
of women's health by strengthening data collection and providing better funding opportunities for biomedical research. And then Republicans celebrating the end of Roe v. Wade will find out in November the power of women. Vice President Kamala Harris, women's health advocate Maria Shriver, and the First Lady also attended the reception.
With the stroke of his pen, women will get the answers and the care they have long sought and they so rightly deserve. And we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a country of liberty, freedom, and rule of law, or a country of disorder, fear, and hate? Each of us has the power to answer that question. With our feet, with our voice, and with our vote.
Those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade and support a national ban on abortion have no clue about the power of women. I mean sincerely. But they're finding out. There's so many Democratic Congress that supports reproductive freedom. I promise you, we will restore Roe v. Wade again as the law of the land.
Biden continues pointing out it was his predecessor and opponent, Donald Trump, who took the conservative approach.
5 minutes.
Donald Trump's lawyers said that he looked at post a bond of a $454 million civil project. Suggesting the former president's legal losses have put him in a serious
Oral again.
Trump claims
Water
he's
polo,
guilty
because we didn't do that
That's
thing at
not
6
the
o'clock.
case, citing rejections from more than 30
Hour?
underwriters. Trump's attorneys want the state's intermediate appeals court to reverse a prior ruling that he posted
Do
on
that.
the full amount in order to hold
What are we going to do for the
enforcement
Blue
of
Jean
the
Bonanza?
New York attorney
Let's check Blue Jean Bonanza by the Soroptimists, not the Sophomorists. Oh man, I'm a dork.
In a Monday statement, the Hudson, Ohio-based company is expected to emerge from bankruptcy as early as the end of
Monday
this month.
for the
Following the
Kings.
process, Joanna Langley,
Where
a
versus
privately owned by
Memphis
certain
Grizzlies.
lenders and industry
When will they
parties,
play again? They play again on Wednesday. So we will announce the Kings
arrived amid both a slowdown in discretionary spending overall and during the time consumers are taking a step back from normal trends, at least relative to a boom seen at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. The company was born back in 1943 with a single storefront in Cleveland, Ohio. It later grew to a national chain, formerly known as Joanne Fabric and Craft Stores. The company rebranded itself with the short Joanne for its 75th anniversary.
Breaking news first. America's first news. Coast to coast. We'll be right back.
You know, it's true. Difficult times have a way of focusing us. We have to think about what matters most.
That's
which is our
true.
spending, our healthcare. This is why so many Medishare right now. Medishare is a trusted way to save up to 50% on your monthly healthcare costs. More than 400,000 people have already made the switch. It's pretty obvious why, too, especially now during this challenging season. With healthcare costs and out-of-pocket expenses going up, Medishare can save you a lot of money to the family. It's $500.
I feel like I play with this
Medishare works,
microphone
too. It's been
way
around
too
for 30
much.
years, members have
Watching
saved
this
more than
back,
$5 billion
it's a lot of
in
adjusting.
bills. There are
It's like a
different
security
options to
blanket,
choose
just
from.
holding on to it.
I'll
Like,
give you the number
hold
here in a
on
second,
tight,
and
the
if you
mic's gonna
call,
fly
you can get
away.
a price within 2 minutes. Maybe now. Perfect time.
10 seconds, Adam.
Start saving. Here you go. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE 40.
And good Tuesday morning to you. Tuesday, March 19th, 14 minutes past the top of the hour. It is 6:14 here at FM 104.5, AM 950 KAHI, voice of the foothills. And hey, good morning to you, Colfax. Currently at 46 degrees where you're at right now. Looking for a high today. Oh, very nice. 68 degrees. All right, let's send it over now to the Fox Business Report.
And this is the Fox Business
Totally
Report.
forgot to pull up the weather.
NVIDIA partner Supermicrocomputer stock is
So Colfax, you're the one that got it because you're the one that was up on my list first. Okay. Ugh.
Capitalize on its shares climbing at 252% year to date. Unilever says it expects to slash 7,500 jobs around the world, predominantly office-based roles, and may spin off the ice cream unit that produces Ben & Jerry's. The multinational maker of Dove soap and Hellmann's mayonnaise says that lower margin ice cream unit differs from its other businesses. The restructuring plan will cost around 1.2% of revenue for the next 3 years for Unilever, which says it's trying to turn into a higher growth, higher margin business. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu.
Invested in you. Let's talk about this. The Blue Jeans Bonanza, Saturday, April 20th, Gold Country Fairgrounds in the Sierra Building, 5 p.m. Tickets are $75. $75, but it's going to be an amazing time. Barbecue dinner and the Ariel Jean Band, no host bar, auction, free parking. What more could you ask for? 75 years of supporting Auburn women.
Inside to outside. Repairs to renovations.
Seroptimus.
Get started on the Angie
Man,
app
what a
or
dork.
visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
You can see them at night,
And every day they steal from you.
Display, unlike our
Digital
steals
display.
energy. They may only steal a little bit, but like
Drops
drops
of
of water in a bucket, it adds up, and you pay. Stop energy theft. Turn off printers and computers when not in use. Use a power strip for charging, and turn the strip off when
Sissy
done.
Struts.
Stop energy thieves and save. Brought to you by Pioneer Community Energy.
16 minutes past the top of the hour. It is 6:16. Let's talk about an event for the calendar coming up on Saturday, April 20th. Gold Country Fairgrounds. It's the Blue Jean Bonanza, brought to you by the Seroptimus International of Auburn. I think yesterday when I did this, I said sophomorist, and what, I don't know. I can't read apparently this early in the morning, or maybe ever. But when I realized my mistake this morning, did I say sophomorist yesterday? It's the Seroptimus International of Auburn celebrating 75 years. The Blue Jean Bonanza happening Saturday, April 20th, Gold Country Fairgrounds in the Sierra Building, 5 p.m. Tickets are $75. What are you getting for that? I'll tell you what you're getting for your $75. One, you're supporting a great organization. Two, you're getting a barbecue dinner, and you're getting the Ariel Jean Band. They're going to be there. There's going to be a no-host bar. There's going to be an auction. There's free parking. 75 years of supporting Auburn women. You can find out more at SOROP Auburn.org. Again, that's SOROP Auburn.org. It's the Blue Jeans Bonanza, Saturday, April 20th, Gold Country Fairgrounds, Sierra Building, 5 p.m., $75 a ticket. You can find out more at SOROPauburn.com. Back with more right after this.
saw a home insurance store out of
That is a
14
solid
that
two.
contemplate selling their home.
Okay, that was a little bit better
It's
than
not all
yesterday.
doom. At Homer Insurance, you'll talk to
Woo!
real insurance experts that have
Buddy,
solutions.
that was
They work
rough.
with dozens of real estate companies helping their agents solve problems every day. If you think you're paying too much, give us a crack and call Homer Insurance today at 916-339-7070. 916-339-7070. Because KAHI cares.
Here's another KAHI community event.
You don't have to go to Africa to have a wildlife adventure. The Wildlife Care Association offers adventure, challenge, and satisfaction when
Blue
you
Jean
volunteer to care
Bonanza.
for injured birds and small animals. The nonprofit group is offering classes now for volunteers to assist Mother Nature in returning wildlife to our communities. Visit wildlifecareassociation.com or call 916-965-WILD and get your adventure going.
18 minutes past the top of the hour. Coming up in our next segment, Sports Ball. How did the Kings do? Producer Adam, get the flashlight ready. We'll find all of that out and more. Back now to America's First News. I'll see you back here at the bottom of the hour.
Good morning on this Tuesday.
All right, so I downloaded that
We begin this morning
show
in
and folder.
where the parents of 4 students killed at Oxford High School are calling for a state investigation of all aspects of the 2021 mass shooting, saying the convictions of a teenager and his parents are not enough to close the book. They also want to change in Michigan law, which currently makes it hard to sue the Oxford School District for errors that contributed to the attack.
That could be a
has not done an
thing.
investigation of this shooting. They haven't investigated the previous shooting. I think it's important for the people to know that 4 kids were killed, and our state has not looked into it.
We want this to be a lessons
What we got
learned
next?
for
Yeah.
Michigan and across the country.
Sports,
ultimately. But
weather,
in order to get there,
and
some
then
fundamental things have to happen.
at the end of the hour,
There
we
has
have
to be
traffic. Okay, so we've
a
got some more.
state-driven investigation of the complete
Sweet.
incident and response.
Off to read the news now.
We want
Well, he's
accountability and
practicing.
change.
Be back in a little bit.
No parent, no school district, no child should
Set
ever
it
have to
for
go
4
through this.
minutes, so I
And
know
we
how much time
continue
I have
to
next time.
prioritize money over the safety of kids. And that's unacceptable.
The Oxford District hired an outside group to conduct an independent investigation. A report released last October said missteps at each level, school board, administrators, staff, all contributed to the disaster. The state attorney general's office said it was rebuffed by the school board when it offered to investigate the shooting. It said the state does not have authority to pursue its own civil investigation. 17-year-old Ethan Crumbly is serving a life prison sentence for murder and terrorism. His parents will be sentenced on April 9th. An Ohio mother whose 16-month-old daughter died after being left home alone in a playpen for 10 days last summer when she went on vacation was sentenced Monday to life in prison with no chance of parole. Authorities said Crystal Candelario left her daughter Jalen in their Cleveland home when she went on vacation to Detroit and Puerto Rico in June of 2023. When she returned 10 days later, she found the girl was not breathing in the playpen and called 911. Emergency responders found the child was extremely dehydrated and pronounced her dead shortly after they arrived.
Dios y mi hija me ha perdonado. God and my daughter have forgiven.
You committed the ultimate act of betrayal, leaving your baby terrified, alone, unprotected, to suffer what I heard was the most gruesome death imaginable. You left your baby, Jalen, trapped in a pack and play without food and water for 10 days. This wasn't simply an oversight. I'm going to sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Calendario had pleaded guilty last month to aggravated murder and child endangerment as part of a plea deal with Cuyahoga County prosecutors who dismissed 2 murder counts and a felonious assault charge. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said Monday that presidential elections in Russia were neither free nor fair. Speaking at a news conference in Georgia alongside the Georgian Prime Minister, Stoltenberg called elections in Ukraine and Georgia illegal.
NATO continues to call on Russia to reverse the recognition of Georgian territories as independent states. Russia's organization of elections in occupied parts of Georgia and Ukraine is completely illegal. And Russia's presidential election was clearly neither free nor fair. Georgia is facing complex security challenges. Russia persists its pursuit of imperial ambitions, and in Ukraine, the situation on the battlefield remains difficult. NATO's partnership with Georgia is already strong, and today we discussed how to develop it even further. In January, we agreed to a new individually tailored partnership program to deepen the partnership between Georgia and NATO. And I welcome the progress made in areas like crisis management, cybersecurity, and military engineering.
Stoltenberg arrived from Baku. That's where he discussed cooperation with Azerbaijan and NATO with officials from Azerbaijan's defense and foreign ministries. NATO has only expanded after Russia invaded Ukraine as countries look to the Nordic alliance for protection from Moscow. Former CNN reporter John Lemon posted his interview with Tesla CEO Elon Musk on X's social media network Monday. The interview was supposed to kick off Lemon's new talk show on the platform. That's until Musk canceled the show shortly after the interview was recorded. Musk, who claims to be a free speech advocate, fired Lemon after he didn't like being questioned.
Choose your question carefully. There's 5 minutes left. Okay, but so the same question you want to ask. Same question is you said that they are killing the company, but you're the head of the company. The buck doesn't stop with you. I acquired X in order to preserve freedom of speech in America, the First Amendment. And I'm going to stick to that. And if that means making less money, so be it. Why would that question upset you? You seem upset by it, are you? I think you're. I'm not trying to upset you. Well, you are upsetting me because the way you're phrasing the questions, I think, is not cogent.
Musk claimed X decided not to go through with Lemon's show because it was a replica of the failing CNN. Lemon told his former network Musk clearly has his own interpretation of freedom of speech.
During the course of that interview, I never raised my voice. I told him, I think this is important for people to hear, especially considering how the type of discourse that we're having in the country right now. And he supposedly says this is a public square for all. Maybe we're learning that a public square should not be privately owned by someone who doesn't think that there should be any moderation on that platform. So it was interesting because at the end, I could tell that he was upset. He was uncomfortable. It was tense. And I said, listen, I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, I would go and have a beer and hash these things out. You and I do not disagree. You and I do not agree on much. Yeah. But I will fight for your right to be able to say what you want to say. That's what freedom of speech means to me.
And 24 hours later.
And 24 hours later. It means freedom of speech does not mean, I guess, the same thing to him as it does to me.
Lemon asked Musk if he believed that he and his social platform had any responsibility to moderate hate speech on X, singling out the spread of the racist Great Replacement theory that falsely contends that Jews are behind a plot to diminish the influence of white people in the U.S. Musk replied sharply that he doesn't have to answer questions from reporters and said he doesn't care what people think about him. The Environmental Protection Agency Monday announced a comprehensive ban on asbestos, a carcinogen that kills tens of thousands of Americans every year, but is still used in some chlorine bleach, brake pads, and other products. The final rule marks a major expansion of EPA regulation under a landmark 2016 law that overhauled regulations governing tens of thousands of toxic chemicals in everyday products, from household cleaners to clothing and furniture. The new rule would ban crystallite asbestos, the only ongoing use of asbestos in the U.S. The substance is found in products such as brake linings and gaskets and is used to manufacture chlorine bleach and sodium hydroxide, also known as caustic soda, including some that's used for water purification. Asbestos, which was once common in home insulation and other products, is banned in more than 50 countries. Its use in the U.S. has been declining for decades. The vernal equinox arrives today, marking it the start of spring in the northern hemisphere. The word equinox comes from two Latin words meaning equal and night. That's because on the equinox, day and night last almost the same amount of time. Though one may get a few extra minutes, that depends on where you are on the planet. During the northern hemisphere summer solstice, the upper half of the Earth is tilted in toward the sun. That creates the longest day and the shortest night of the year. The winter solstice in the northern hemisphere is leaning away from the sun, leading to the shortest day and the longest night of the year, and the winter solstice falls between December 20th and the 23rd. Reach out to me anytime across the board on social media at Matt Ray Talk.
How many more times are you going to hit snooze? America's First News with Matt Ray.
At Unshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Fuel additives.
most fuel additives either impact performance or provide protection. Hotshot Secret Everyday Diesel Treatment provides both performance enhancement and fuel system protection. Everyday Diesel Treatment delivers a 6-in-1 premium fuel treatment for every fill-up, every time.
Everyday Diesel Treatment is available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Winter is here. When the temperature drops, so does your truck's performance. Avoid fuel gelling by using Hot Shot Secret's EDT Plus Winter Defense, a 7-in-1 fuel booster and anti-gel that improves cold weather performance. The 7-point cetane boost decreases DPF regens and increases fuel economy. Be confident that your engine is running smoothly and trouble-free, even in the coldest temperatures. Hot Shot Secret EDT Plus Winter Defense, available at Pilot, Flying J, Amazon, O'Reilly Auto Parts, and HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Hey, America. How tired are you of mainstream corporate media's
Powered
biased
by
narratives
science.
and manipulated news?
All right, who are we going to shout out?
Let's
shout out in this section.
Put on display for anyone
Forest
who's
Hill.
paying attention. But the New American magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive the stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture a beautifully published magazine arriving at your doorstep twice a month, packed with
Beautifully
insightful
published
stories written with
magazine.
integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on any subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio25 and receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.
And good Tuesday morning to you. It is Tuesday, March 19th. Happy first day of spring, by the way. It is 30 minutes past the top of the hour, 6:30 a.m. here at FM 104.5, AM 950 KAHI. You know what it is. It is the voice of the foothills. And hey, good morning to you, Forest Hill. Currently, it is 47 degrees where you're at right now. Looking for a very nice high today of 67 degrees. All right, let's get right into it. We're going to start with the sports ball here, starting with the NBA on the hardwood. Kings versus the Grizzlies last night. Producer Adam, light the beam. Turn the flashlight on. Kings win 121-111 over the Grizzlies. Kings will play again tomorrow, Wednesday night at, it's actually in the afternoon at 4:30 p.m. versus Toronto. Kings versus Toronto tomorrow. Catch all the action here on KAHI at 4:30 p.m. Hawks versus the Lakers. Well, Lakers win that one, 136-105. Warriors versus the Knicks. Knicks win that one, 119-112. Timberwolves versus the Jazz. Timberwolves on top there, 114-104. Trailblazers versus the Bulls. Bulls win, 110-107. 76ers versus the Heat. 76ers win that one, 98-91. NCAA, it's March Madness going on right now. If you're keeping up with that, you know a heck of a lot more than me, so I'll leave it to you to keep track of those scores there. Giants versus the Reds. We're going to spring training. That's right. Baseball's happening. Giants versus the Reds. Giants win that one, 4-2. Nationals versus the Astros. Nationals run away with that one, 10-1. A's versus the D-backs. That's a tie there, 3-3. Angels versus the Brewers. Angels lose that one. Brewers win that one, 4-3. Mariners versus the Rangers. Mariners on top there, 9-5. Going to the Auburn Journal, looking locally here. Let's talk a little bit about Del Oro. 5 Del Oro water polo players to represent region at the ODP Nationals. What the heck is the ODP? Well, take a listen here. 5 Del Oro high school boys water polo players will represent the region this coming weekend at the Olympic Development Program. That's what ODP means, Olympic Development Program. The national championship in Chicago. Luke Raby, Cole Brown, Bodie Farron, Jacob DeJong, and Alexei Arp are all members of California Central Zone team and were selected after attending several tryouts across the state. The USA Water Polo Youth National Team will select its roster from the top players of the weekend's tournament. So good luck, fellas, as you're going out to Chicago competing there. I hope all 5 of you make it there from Del Oro's water polo team. We'll be back with more right after this.
Or is it mental? Maybe it's both. Maybe it's whatever empowers a person to dig deeper, fight harder, and overcome obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. Discover how much stronger and more confident your children can be. Encourage them to participate in a sport when they go to high school.
KI Radio.
This message presented by the California Interscholastic
Yes, ma'am.
Federation and the California State Athletic Directors Association.
Good Tuesday morning and welcome to the first day of spring. It'll be mostly sunny. It's going to feel like spring in the low 70s today. Light southwest winds.
Well, it's yesterday was the last day of winter, and so I've got Tim Root, the meteorologist. He said today's the first day of spring, so I was thinking, well, last day is winter, first day of spring is today, so that's what we're going off of. So
sunny around 65 degrees. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
Got it. Jackie, I gotta run. I gotta go back on air, but thanks for calling. Let me know. Okay, bye-bye. 33 minutes past the top of the hour here at FM 104.5 AM 950 KAHI, voice of the foothills. I was just talking to Jackie. Jackie, thanks for calling in. We just want to make sure it's the first day of spring. We're going to confirm that. We're back now to America's First News, and I'll see you back here in just a little bit.
Good morning. America's First News continues. It's the 19th day of March, 34 minutes past the hour. And the U.S. has warned Israel against conducting a major ground offensive in Rafah as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu Monday agreed to send a team of officials to Washington to discuss a potential operation. The agreement came as President Joe Biden and Netanyahu spoke Monday, their first interaction in more than a month, and as the divide has grown between the allies over the food crisis in Gaza and Israel's conduct. Israel's foreign minister has rejected allegations of war crimes, as EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell said Monday that Israel is using starvation as a weapon of war. He made the remarks at the opening of a conference on humanitarian aid for Gaza.
And not stand by and watch Palestinian stuff. Okay. Then what are we going to do? Because this famine is not a natural disaster. It's not a flood. It's not a earthquake.
Okay, yes, today is the first day of spring.
Washington, and
Just so you know, Jackie, I looked it up.
Yes,
That was a good question, though.
Israel is provoking famine.
All right, next segment is
What evidence do you have?
traffic, ag report, and then Medler's meeting. Okay, I'm going to go record the news. Back after this.
Send parachutes in a place that is 1 hour by car from the next airport. Why don't you stand it by the airport? Because they don't let. It is unacceptable. Starvation is used as a weapon of war. Yes, starvation is used as a weapon of war.
Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz, in response, urged Borrell to, quote, stop attacking Israel and recognize our right to self-defense against Hamas's crimes, claiming access to aid on the ground is being hindered by Hamas militants, along with collaboration by the UN's aid agency, UNRWA. That's a claim the United Nations and Western allies reject. The U.S. and dozens of countries halted hundreds of millions of dollars in support in response to the allegations. Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong said Australia will resume the funding.
The best available current advice from agencies and the Australian government lawyers is that UNRWA is not a terrorist organisation, and that existing and additional safeguards sufficiently protect Australian taxpayer funding. Australia has been working with a group of donor countries and with UNRWA on the shared objective of ensuring the integrity of UNRWA's operations, rebuilding confidence, and so importantly, ensuring aid flows to Gazans in desperate need. The Australian government is now finalising an updated funding agreement that will include stringent conditions such as guarantees of staff neutrality and confidence in supply chains. On that basis, and after consideration by the National Security Committee this week, Australia is unpausing our contribution to UNRWA.
UNRWA came under scrutiny earlier this year as Israel claimed that 12 of the agency's employees participated in Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel. Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen said Sunday the allegation should be investigated, but 2 million people should not be held accountable for it. The Supreme Court on Monday continued to block, for now, a Texas law that would give police broad powers to arrest migrants suspected of illegally entering the U.S. while the legal battle it sparked over immigration authority plays out. A one-page order signed by Justice Samuel Alito indefinitely prevents Texas from enforcing a sweeping state immigration enforcement law that had been set to take effect this month. The language of the order strongly suggests the court will take additional action, but it's unclear when. It marks the second time Alito's extended a pause on the law, known as Senate Bill 4, which the Justice Department has argued would step on the federal government's immigration powers. The shares were mixed in Asia Tuesday after the Bank of Japan hiked its benchmark interest rate for the first time in 17 years, ending a long-standing negative rate policy at odds with the stances of most central banks. It said that the wage increases and other indicators suggest that inflation had stabilized above the Bank of Japan's 2% target, but noted extremely high uncertainties, including weakness in industrial production, exports, housing investment, and government spending. This week's highlight for Wall Street will likely be the Fed Reserve's meeting on interest rates, which ends on Wednesday. The widespread expectation is for the central bank to hold its main interest rate steady at its highest level since 2001. Recent reports on inflation have consistently come in worse than expected. That could force the Fed to trim how many rate cuts it foresees delivering this year. Turning to sports this morning, Alex Ovechkin scored twice and became the third player in NHL history to have at least 20 goals in 19 consecutive seasons as the Washington Capitals beat the Calgary Flames 5-2 Monday. The 38-year-old had 2 power play goals in the second period as Washington won its third straight.
Right up the middle, Wilson trying to muscle his way in. Tied up, gets it. Gets 20th. Power play ball makes it 2-0 Capitals. Back to the line, Carlson. Pierre brings it down on the scroll. So let's get second on the power play. Well, that's textbook. So that's good. It makes it 3-0 Capitals.
The call on SN. He joined Gordie Howe and Brendan Shanahan as the only players to achieve the goal-scoring feat. Dylan Strome, Hendricks Lapierre, and Tom Wilson also scored for Washington, which moved into the second wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference, a point ahead of idle Detroit. It's the first time the Capitals have occupied a playoff spot since January 2nd. And Jeff Skinner had a hat trick with his first goal coming during a 3-goal outburst in the first 6 minutes to chase Seattle Kraken goaltender Joey Decourt, and the Buffalo Sabres cruised to a 6-2 victory. Buffalo is 4 behind Washington for the final Eastern Conference playoff spot with 13 games left. On the hardwood, Anthony Edwards had 32 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds to lead the shorthanded Minnesota Timberwolves over the Jazz 114-104. Naz Reid had 17 points on 7 of 12 shooting, as Minnesota was missing Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns because of injury. After Reid went down to injury, Edwards scored 5 third-quarter baskets, highlighted by a thunderous dunk over John Collins that injured both players.
Another turnover for Utah. Edwards gets it. Anthony turned his hand on that too. That was ridiculous.
Michael Grady with the disbelief on Valley Sports. Edwards called it the best dunk of his career. Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch said it was the spark the team needed.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I want to see it again. I didn't see it in replay yet. We've seen several of those rim attacks at the end of transition like that. I thought that was really what kind of flipped the game around for us, just from an emotional point of view. We needed a really big play. And, all credit to Anthony, too. Like, he didn't start the game the greatest. Like, we looked a little kind of sluggish, but he kept at it. And, he knows when guys are out, gets down shorthanded, that he's got to step up. But, spectacular play.
Utah lost its second straight home game despite outscoring Minnesota 22-8 in second chance points. Jalen Brunson had 34 points, and Miles McBride added a career-high 29, leading the red-hot New York Knicks to their 4th straight victory, 119-112 over the Warriors Monday. The Knicks raced out to an 18-4 lead early in the game and never trailed as they earned just their 5th win in their last 19 meetings against the Warriors. They head to Denver Thursday looking to stay undefeated on this West Coast road trip.
We got to keep finding ways to win and stay important, stay confident in ourselves. Stick together. Just stick together.
You seem to create angles that don't exist. What do you attribute that to?
I don't know. I see it and I just try it. So things just happen. I try to make something out of it sometimes too much, but I'm pretty confident.
I know you play a lot of minutes, but what does it say about guys like Josh Hart? I know you're not going to want to give him credit, but Deuce McBride as well, that they're able to go almost every single minute of this game and produce the way that they did.
Yeah, he played great. He stepped in tonight ready to go. I heard him talk about it before, his work ethic and everything he does to prepare for moments like these. So, that's just who he is.
What can we expect with Denver? What can we expect with Denver?
I don't know, quick timeout, so I have to.
Brunson making the remarks to ESPN's Katie George. Steph Curry had 27, leading Golden State. Trace Jackson Davis had 19 and 10 boards. The Warriors fell to 17 and 18 at home. LeBron James had 25 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds, and D'Angelo Russell had 27 points, while tying the Lakers' single-season record for three-pointers in a 136-105 victory over the Hawks. Russell's 6 threes against the Hawks gave him 183 this season, passing Kobe Bryant's 180 in 2005-06 and tying Nick Van Axel's franchise record set in 1994-95. Malik Monk had 12 of his 28 points in overtime. Domantas Sabonis had his 50th straight double-double, and the Sacramento Kings beat the Memphis Grizzlies 121-111 Monday. The Kings improved to 5-1 in overtime. More on the way on this Tuesday morning. Grab the coffee. Let's go. You've got America's First News.
Breaking news first. America's First News. Coast to coast. We'll be right back.
Wayne Firebaugh, CPA and Certified Financial Planner Professional here, with more tips for fireproofing your money. The most commonly stated reason for investing is retirement. It's so prevalent that the word retirement is even featured prominently in many of our favorite savings vehicles. 401k retirement plan, individual retirement account. It's great that we have the means, some sort of dedicated
song. There we go. Oh yeah.
Two components: desired amount and target time frame. In other words, you need both a when and a how much before you have any real retirement plan.
Loomis.
This being sufficiently specific with either element, real peace about having enough money to live the retirement years as you had imagined. This is Wayne Firebaugh. Check out fireproofyourmoney.com for tips on setting and reaching your financial goals.
And good Tuesday morning to you. Tuesday, March 19th, 15 minutes to the top of the hour. It is 6:45 a.m. here at FM 104.5, AM 950 KAHI, voice of the foothills. And hey, good morning to you, Loomis. Currently, it is 50 degrees right now, looking for a high today of 74 degrees. And hey, thanks, Jackie, for calling in, double checking that today is the first day of spring. Jackie, if you're still listening, I looked it up. The Google machine, Google says it is. Also, the National Weather Service and CBS News is reporting that today is the spring equinox. So that is happening today on the 19th. So always good to double check these things, make sure that we've got the right date going on. But hey, let's talk about dates. Let's talk about something for the calendar here. We haven't talked about this for a little bit, but hey, it is coming up pretty quick here. The roller skating night at Regional Park Gym. That's going to be Friday, March 29th from 5 to 8 p.m. What's there going to be? There's going to be games. There's going to be music. There's going to be fun. How much is it? Well, I'll tell you how much it is. It's going to be $10 a person. What a steal for 3 hours going roller skating. Now, for that 3 hours, you're going to need to bring your own skates, by the way. So heads up, bring your own skates. So get them out there, oil them up, put on some new shoelaces, get ready to go. Again, roller skate night happening at the Regional Park Gym. That's going to be Friday, March 29th from 5 to 8 p.m. You can get your tickets. They're only $10 a person, by the way. You can get your tickets at auburnrec.com. That's auburnrec.com. Or they'll be available at the door too, but save yourself some time. Get the tickets ahead of time at auburnrec.com. Again, bring your own skates for the roller skating night happening at Regional Park Gym Friday, March 29th, 5 to 8 p.m. Games, music, fun. Make sure you don't miss it. We'll be back with more right after this.
Most exciting, entertaining, and sometimes informative radio show on earth. Listen to us live on KAHI, the voice of the foothills, every Saturday morning, 9 to noon. Here on FM 104.5 and AM 950. You can also find us on KAHI.com and the KAHI app. Remember, that's Radio Law Talk, live 9 to noon every Saturday, right here on KAHI, AM and FM, the voice of the foothills.
This is Corinne LaRue of the Ag Information Network with California Ag Today.
All right.
The latest meat demand monitor released at the end of February offered a mixed result, according to Kansas State University Extension livestock market economist Dr. Glenn Tonsor.
And a summary on demand in February.
Okay, so Medler's meeting is coming up
domestic
here.
Retail, so think grocery store for at-home consumption. Demand was up for 6 of the 8 evaluated products.
Which I should go to that.
Great. Conversely, we look over
find out
food service. February demand for dinner meals and Medler homes and
bingo fundraiser.
Oh, cool. In cases.
Tonsor added that
Chamber
the vast
Forum.
majority of the public continues to report that their finances are either the same or
Don
worse
Ailes,
from a
Gulf Country
sentimental
Sea.
perspective.
Oh,
The typical
that should be interesting.
concern on their finances, it's important to clarify sentiment isn't the same as the bottom line. They tend to be very related, but you can have
Okay,
a
here we go.
even or getting slightly ahead kind of thing from an accounting perspective, but you still don't feel comfortable, or you're not optimistic that things are going to get better, and therefore your sentiment is going to be eroding.
Tonser adds that consumers are still buying beef, but many are switching to less expensive cuts at the grocery store and when ordering at restaurants.
It's been popping up in orchards and vineyards all over. Hey, Oryx from Gary's Colors.
Oh, hey, yeah, it's Sepia fungicide from BASF,
Oh, wow.
a category leader in disease control.
How do you explain these healthy crops?
Well, longer lasting residual. Plus, it's built for current regulatory standards and prepared for what's to come, which improves crop marketing flexibility. So,
A fungicide that is out of this world? I knew it. Sepia fungicide from BASF. Or is it?
Central Coast growers know just how much damage aphids can do to leafy veg, coal, and brassica crops. But Versus insecticide from BASF makes all visible aphids disappear thanks to a unique single and targeted mode of action. Let's get the aphids response to this simple effective solution. Taking calls now to hear from those unhappy aphids. Fun. Hello? Anyone? Making aphids disappear from leafy vegetable, coal, or brassica crops is easy with Versus insecticide.
Anybody there?
Always read and follow label directions.
For California Ag Today, I'm Corinne LaRue with the Ag Information Network.
11 minutes to the top of the hour. Coming up in our next segment, we're going to have the Meddlers meeting. That's right. Every Tuesday during the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to join into the Meddlers meeting. So we're going to go back now to America's First News as we prep for that. Just after the 7 o'clock hour, we'll pop in and join there. Who's going to be the guest speaker today? We'll find out. Back now to America's First News, and I'll see you back here just after the top of the hour.
Tuesday morning, America's First News continues. It's March 19th. New this morning, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken will underscore Washington's ironclad commitment to its alliance with the Philippines today.
Off now to finish doing the news. And back here in just a little bit for Meddlers. Yay!
Blinken, the latest high-level official to visit, and
Okay,
his
nothing on that
Philippine
channel.
counterpart in Manalo on Tuesday before planned meetings with Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and other top officials in Manila. Next month, President Joe Biden will host Marcos and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida in a White House summit amid growing concerns over increasingly aggressive Chinese action in the South China Sea and North Korea's nuclear program. The badly decomposed body of a child was found inside of a duffel bag by crews who were cleaning a site Monday in West Philadelphia. Police said the body was found in the city's Mantua neighborhood by workers with the city's Community Life Improvement Program. It wasn't immediately clear how the child died, how long the body had been at the site, or how it ended up there.
Officers verified that there was a juvenile inside that bag and will continue to hold the scene until the ME's office and the crime scene unit comes out. Medics did come on location and pronounced the juvenile at approximately 10:15 a.m.
The child apparently was between 2 to 4 years old, but its gender had not yet been determined. An investigation is ongoing. An Afghan refugee was found guilty Monday of first-degree murder in one of 3 fatal shootings that shook Albuquerque's Muslim community during the summer of 2022. Mohammed Syed faces life in prison for killing 41-year-old Aftab Hussein on July 26th of 2022. He'll also stand trial in the coming months in the other 2 slayings. During the trial, prosecutors presented cell phone data that showed his phone was in the area when the shooting happened, and an expert testified that casings and projectiles recovered from the scene had been fired from a rifle that was found hidden under Syed's bed.
Mr. Syed was hiding nearby, approximately 20-25 feet away, behind a wall and some bushes, and had a very clear view of Mr. Aftab Hussein as he had gotten out of his vehicle. And Mr. Syed used this weapon right here. An AK-47. And he shot Aftab Hussein at least 9 times. He fired at least 9 shots.
We find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder by deliberate killing with discharge of count 1. And everyone else, you may remain seated, or you may be seated at this time. The verdict I just read represent your verdict. Juror number 5, does the verdict I just read represent your verdict? Juror number 4, did the verdict I just read represent your verdict? Juror number 3, did the verdict I just read represent your verdict? Juror number 15, does the verdict I just read represent you? Yes. Juror number 14, does the verdict I just
Defense attorneys argued prosecutors had no evidence that Syed was the one who pulled the trigger. They said others who lived in his home could also access his phone, the vehicle, and the rifle. The defense called no witnesses. Syed tearfully declined to testify in his own defense. District Attorney David Waymeyer said outside the courthouse, as best we can tell, this could be a case of a serial killer, where there's a motive known only to them and not something that we can really understand. Defense attorney said the conviction would be appealed once the other two trials are complete. They too said a motive had yet to be uncovered. Olympic gold medalist Caitlyn Jenner Monday said she supports a local New York official's order banning female sports teams with transgender athletes from using county-owned facilities. Speaking alongside Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman at his office, Jenner said allowing transgender athletes like herself to compete against other women will, quote, ruin women's sports for years to come. The LGBT Network, a Long Island-based advocacy group, called Jenner's comments baffling and a contradiction to her own identity. As a transgender woman, that's not only hypocritical but harmful to the LGBTQ community. The group's president issued a statement saying it's disheartening to witness someone who's experienced the challenges of being marginalized actively contributing to the oppression of others within the same community. Notably, the ban does not apply to men's teams. Jenner claims allowing transgender people to compete with women would undermine gains female athletes achieved under Title IX, the law banning sex discrimination in programs that receive federal funds. Attorney General Letitia James said Blakeman's order is transphobic and discriminatory and violates state law. Blakeman filed his own lawsuit asking a federal court in New York to affirm that the order was legal. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang took the wraps off the company's highly anticipated Blackwell graphics processing unit at the company's annual GTC conference in San Jose, California this week. The chip is the successor to NVIDIA's already highly coveted H100 and H200, considered the go-to for developing artificial intelligence.
Blackwell is not a chip. Blackwell is the name of a platform. People think we make GPUs, and we do, but GPUs don't look the way they used to. Here's the if you will, the heart of the Blackwell system. And this inside the company is not called Blackwell, it's just a number. And this is Blackwell sitting next to, this is the most advanced GPU in the world in production today. This is Hopper. This is Hopper. Hopper changed the world. This is Blackwell. It's okay, Hopper.
And the chips have become the go-to GPUs for AI applications, helping to rocket NVIDIA's data center revenue over the last few quarters. Japan's central bank raised its benchmark rate Tuesday for the first time in 17 years, ending a long-standing policy of negative rates meant to boost the economy. The short-term rate was raised to an average of 0 to 0.1% from minus 0.1% at the policy meeting that confirmed expectations of a shift away from ultra-lax monetary policy. It's the first rate hike since February 2007. The negative interest rate policy, combined with other measures to inject money into the economy and keep borrowing costs low, have fulfilled their roles, according to the bank. The bank had an inflation target of 2%.
All right, let's see if they've kicked off the Meddlers meeting. Woohoo!
And at the box office, Kung Fu Panda 4 stayed atop in its second weekend in theaters. The Universal and DreamWorks animation movie earned $30 million in ticket sales, according to Studio Smith Sunday.
It is time to take the next step on your journey.
I'm not going to be the Dragon Warrior anymore.
You will elect a spiritual leader of the Valley of Peace.
Inner peace. Peace.
Keep yourself off my turf.
Dinner, please. Dinner with peas in a sesame swept glaze.
This is not working at all. A franchise featuring the voice of Jack Black is responsible for more than 1.9 percent from last weekend. It's now $205 million domestically. The newcomers landing in third place with $7.5 million from just over 3,000 locations.
There we go.
Love Live Bleeding opened in $2.5 million.
That
And the
is
American
me.
Society of Magical Negroes made an estimated $1.3 million. Next weekend, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire arrives in theaters, bringing their proton packs and some brand name recognition to the box office. And the vernal equinox arrives today, marking the start of spring in the northern hemisphere. And the word equinox comes from two Latin words meaning equal and night. That's because on the equinox, day and night last almost the same amount of time. Though one may get a few extra minutes, that depends on where you are on the planet. You've got America's First News on this Tuesday morning, the first day of spring.
America's First News with Matt Ray.
Reimagine everyday play with the hottest toys for the holiday season from Spin Master. Available at all major retailers. Bidsy. This is a digital pet you can really touch. Reacts to your swipes, tilts, shakes and touch, and grows in response to kids' love and care. For more pet fun, discover Hatchimals Alive. Pets that kids hatch in water and care for in the Hatchie Nursery. Friendship bracelet fans will love the Cool Maker Pop Style Bracelet Maker. A DIY bracelet kit featuring a fun and easy pop-on bead system. Action lovers, pull off epic stunts with the Monster Jam Mega Grave Digger Trax RC that can conquer any terrain, including snow, grass, dirt, and water. Last but not least, preschool fans of the series Paw Patrol will want to get their paws on the Paw Patrol Mighty Movie Aircraft Carrier HQ so they can recreate their favorite scenes from the new film.
Okay, right.
Toys from Spin Master.
Anybody sure? Stop. Breathe it up. Anybody?
News this hour from Town Hall.
Gonna eat my oatmeal. I'm cornflakes. Comment. Oatmeal and cornflakes. Oops. Okay. Why have we no sound? Oh, because they're muted, that's why. Okay.
More of these stories at townhall.com. Donald Trump's indictment proves that saving America is not going to be easy. There are entrenched powers that are fighting this with everything they've got. They want to keep control over the country, the narrative, and the nation's money supply. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I'm a news analyst, a Christian author, and evangelical leader. I speak to millions of people every week, people just like you. You see, what the elites are doing is using inflation and government handouts and now central bank digital currencies to determine how they're going to control America. And that's why I recommend all Christians start a gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group.
Oh, all
Because
Christians.
physical precious metals are one
Right.
of the few ways you can maintain control over your
Two. Will you join me in the flag salute, please? Bridget, would you mind leading us in the salute? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mike, any words of wisdom this morning? Okay, go ahead. Well, I'm trying to kill time while we wait for our county supervisor. Bob, sorry. Lay back. Anybody need popcorn or soda here? Yeah, please, Rick.
So I think with 40 counties now, creating a collaboration and explain how those other 16 counties have all the money. Marin County is Monterey, Santa Cruz, San Francisco. They could have all those elements to build learning.
Do you have a name for this consolidation of counties that you're discussing? Jefferson or? All right. Well, thanks for that, Supervisor Holmes. All right, well, we have Cindy joining us via Zoom. So good morning, Cindy. What's going on in the county?
Hey, Daniel. Good morning. Great to kind of see you, some of you this morning. And
Congressional negotiators have reportedly hammered out an
5 minutes past the top of the hour here at FM 104.5 AM 950 KAHI, Voice of the Foothills. We are going to go ahead and join into the Auburn Chamber Forum meeting, otherwise known as the Meddlers meeting, as we affectionately like to call it. We're getting updates right now from Placer County Supervisor District 5, Cindy Gustafson. Let's go ahead and join in the meeting.
and wanting to assist. Senator Padilla in particular had done an earmark for $1.5 million to evaluate fire risk and planning for the forest health.
Recording in progress.
So the meetings were excellent. A little bit of a whirlwind trip and a lot of cancellations on flights coming home, but made it home, and now am down in Los Angeles. My husband's having surgery later today, so we'll down here helping him through that. Last week at the board meeting, we approved the final EIR in the Yankee Gems Bridge replacement. We also, the Placer County Government Center co-housing agreement with Charles Durrett. We agreed to allow him to assign that agreement to EAH Housing, which is a public nonprofit group that has done quite a bit of housing all over the state of California and the West Coast. Potentially up to 80 units at the government center of affordable housing. We also signed an agreement with Dawson, or authorized signing of the agreement with Dawson Engineering to remove that debris out of the American River. You might remember that we got Senator Dolly and Assemblymember Dolly to help us secure the state's resources to get that debris out of the river. So that was good. And then also had financial updates on our fiscal year for Q2, looking at general fund sales tax being down almost 7% and public safety sales tax being down about 13%. Our TOT revenues were up just barely, slightly, but at least they held firm. So looking at our financial situation, we do need to continue as we prepare our budget. We have our budget workshops April 3rd and 4th, 2 days of budget workshop hearings, and looking forward to those projections and working with the rest of the board on that. And then looking at our state budget, the Senate released their plans for at least half of what we think the state budget deficit is. State budget deficit, as you know, is somewhere between 38 billion and 53 billion, depending on who you talk to. The Senate released a plan for how they're going to make up 17.1 billion of some of it in reductions, some of it in revenue and borrowing, and some of it in fund shifts. And the final onslaught was delays in projects. So that's an indication of what the state might be looking at to address the budget deficit. And none of which are going to be easy. We don't know yet all the areas they're going to impact, but we're moving forward on a number of projects that do rely on state funding, one of which is the Auburn Library. We authorized the phase 2. We'll be doing that next week at our next week's meeting to finish the design and get the bid docs ready to go, assuming that we'll continue to get those funds. We know that the Kings Beach Library project, future grants from the library funds will not move forward at this point, but we do believe the Auburn Library will get those funds. And then next week we'll also be looking at entering into an MOU with WAPMA, the Western Plaster Waste Management Authority, MOU with WAPMA for county employees to make their employees county employees to receive those benefits through an MOU. So that's about all I have, Daniel. Obviously, we're still waiting for final. We're very close to having final election results. And Ryan Rocco reports that we're 13% higher than the state average in voter turnout for the primary. And that we had really good success with voters getting their ballots in early and getting about 50% of the total ballots counted on election day, which is better. Many of you might remember that the last election, it was almost a month until we had this many ballots counted. So doing well there. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you, Cindy, and congratulations to the 3 candidates that are in this room, including yourself. Looked like District 4 was a landslide, but District 3 and District 5, we won't know until November. So it looks like there will be another election in our future, in your future, I should say. Any questions for Supervisor Gustafson this morning? Yeah, please, Mr. Rhodes. She demoted him.
Congressman Kiley, so sorry. Congressman Kiley, Congressman Garamendi.
Any other questions? Quiet group this morning. You know, this theater setting, chairs, maybe you're not as meddler-ish.
Meddler. Well,
Meddler-ish.
have a great day. And I'm off to the hospital. Thanks for
11 minutes past the top of the hour here at FM 104.5 AM 950 KAHI, Voice of the Foothills. If you're just joining us, we're tuning into the Auburn Meddlers meeting, the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber of Foreign meeting that we tune into every Tuesday during the 7 o'clock hour. We just heard updates from Placer County Supervisor Cindy Gustafson. Now we're coming back. We're going to hear updates from the city manager, from Sean Rabe here. So as he's taking the podium, we'll go ahead and tune back in now into the Meddlers meeting.
So, first up, the county's rezone project, the draft EIR comment letter was due yesterday. So the city submitted a similar comment letter to what we submitted on the notice of preparation. The deadline for the letter was yesterday. So we expressed many of the same concerns that we did in our initial letter. Unfortunately, draft EIR includes all the same sites that were previously proposed that the board directed staff to take out. We need to understand why that was done because we have to analyze all the stuff and make sure all the stuff is in there. But in order to protect the city's concerns, we have to submit basically the same type of comment letter. So we submitted that yesterday. Primary concerns are that there's a couple sites that are directly adjacent to the city limits. We heard a lot of concern about that at the last council meeting last week. And so we specifically called those out this time. The concern that we have about the access for those projects will be off the city road, and then also the impacts to public safety because it's directly adjacent to the city. So we also expressed our concern with placing the higher density housing near the airport. That action was actually taken a couple of weeks ago. And really this kind of shows how important it is for the city to participate in discussion early instead of coming in late, which I don't think that we've done a very good job of at all, frankly. We're doing that better now. But it's really important for us to participate in that when it's coming up. So you'll see some of that going forward in the future. I had a meeting with the mayor, the economic development director, and GSEC, which is Greater Sacramento Economic Council, yesterday, to talk about how GSEC can help further the city's economic development activities. So GSEC is a public-private partnership that unites business. This is from the website, by the way, I'm not making this up. That unites business and community leaders to create one cohesive regional economic development strategy with a focus on growth, sustainability, equity, and competitiveness. They were instrumental in bringing Bosch to Roseville. They've assisted in several other high-profile placements in the area, including Samsung. They're focusing lately on sort of like electronic batteries, so batteries for vehicles, that kind of stuff. So we just joined GSEC in the fall, I believe it was. Loomis joined when I first started down there, when it was GSEC was just kind of getting started up. We talked about various economic strategies, things that Auburn has going on that other nearby cities don't. Specifically, like our outdoor recreation assets, proximity to the canyon. The proximity to the canyon, Tahoe, the airport, of course, and then me being here as well. So I think it was a really good meeting. I'm looking forward to more conversations with GSEC. They tend to focus on like the bigger industry stuff, which we don't have room for that here. But they also have these kind of niche businesses that you wouldn't think of that would actually be a pretty good fit for Auburn, including like smaller kind of like manufacturing facilities that would eventually expand out, right? So, and looking at the airport specifically, that would be a good spot for some of those businesses. The other thing I'll say, like, people have asked me like what the benefit of Bosch coming to Roseville is on Auburn, and it's kind of like, rise and tides, raise all boats, right? If people who are working at Bosch making pretty good wages need to find somewhere to live, and maybe they want to live up here, or maybe they want to come up here and recreate, go to our businesses, do all that stuff. So there is a benefit to us for something like that coming into the county. Certainly a huge benefit for the county and for Roseville itself. Cindy talked about the state budget and the county budget process. We're in the process of beginning our budget preparation. I've instituted a hiring slush, so it's not hiring freeze. But what happens is if we have a vacant position that's come open, the department director needs to go to finance, HR, and me to see if we actually need to fill that position or not. It's one of the ways that we're going to be able to kind of trim that deficit down that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. That's going to be an ongoing process until we adopt the budget, the preparation side. This hiring slush is probably going to last for quite a while, and making sure that we're able to start focusing and getting things kind of trimmed back and getting rid of that. Last, looking ahead to next week's agenda, the biggest issue we have are annual reports for the Auburn Fire Department and the Auburn Police Department. We have a couple personnel issues that are cleanup items after the major budget update as well. So I'll be doing those as well. That's all that I got.
Ooh, everybody's finishing early today.
It's not so much in lieu of what the state tells us to do, because frankly we don't have a choice. But the idea is there's a coalition that's being built to kind of push back on some of the housing bills that the state pushes out that are like the statewide bill that don't necessarily fit here, right? So the state uses basically a sledgehammer approach, and everybody's got to do the same thing, and that doesn't necessarily we're looking at is stuff like the SB9 bill that allows the lot split, so you basically do away with single family zoning, that kind of stuff. It's important for some of the council members. There was a lot of back and forth at the council meeting about this. I think everybody on council understands that it's important for us to be able to maintain our local control on land decisions. We don't want to see that over the state. That was basically what that resolution was for. You're right. In terms of Auburn specifically, I don't think that there's going to be a ton of impact, but adding our name to that kind of list of cities and different council members just shows that the state is, we're concerned about this. Of course, they listen to us. There's like a back and a forth, right? We have a significant housing problem in the state. These bills are aimed to produce more housing, but then at the same time, it negatively impacts our historic neighborhoods and the kind of fabric of what makes this community this community. So I see both sides of it, frankly. I think that we have a significant problem housing here, Alaska County in general, state, but at the same time, we want to be able to make sure that we're growing the way that we want to grow and not, so for example, there's a project that we have that's kind of been outstanding. The map is kind of stalled out. They're now looking at doing an SB9 project that would take, I think it's like 20 something lots. If it's an SB9 project, to be able to split those, and instead of having 20 lots, we have 40 on properties that were, built for kind of lots. So that kind of stuff is a concern because folks build their houses thinking that they've got specific whatever in a neighborhood, and then all of a sudden it's changed by the state. But ultimate results.
20 minutes past the top of the hour here at FM 104.5 AM 950 KAHI, voice of the foothills, 7:20 a.m. Hey, we are listening into the Auburn Meddlers meeting, otherwise known as the Chamber Forum meeting that happens every Tuesday during the 7 o'clock hour. We're getting updates now from City Manager Sean Rave about what's going on in the city. We're going to go ahead and join back into the meeting now.
They were they asked to have the property rezoned through the county process. My understanding too is that they originally came to the city a long time ago or sometime to talk to the city, and then there wasn't an issue with that. And I was certainly here and I don't know all the backstory. The developer did email me, and I will follow up with them and see if we can kind of because I don't have the background on it. But we had a full council chamber of people who were concerned about specifically those two properties. And why I'm a property owner and I can get something done 5 years earlier, why would I not do that? I get it. I understand it.
Other questions? We've got plenty of time. Look, John, you want exercise?
No, I don't.
I think you're going to get there.
The other thing, quickly too, since we do have a little bit of time, we are sending in an appropriations request to Congressman Kiley for SCBA equipment for the fire department. So SCBA is basically the breathing apparatus in the tanks. That's about a $400,000 cost that would normally go to the general fund. That's deficit. We're trying to figure all that stuff out. And so the appropriations process just opened up for requesting that money from the Congressman. So if you see him on the street, give a shout out for our SCBA stuff. See him on the street, hangs around. He might be you. That's true. Yeah. So one of the problems that has impacted our budget is we did basically 3 years of road repairs in a year and a half, right? So at this point, we're kind of status quo. We have to spend a specific amount of money each year from gas tax and all those monies that come from the state. So we're going to continue doing the big paving projects basically on hold for probably a couple years now because we've done so. We actually did like 4 years, not 2 years. We way overspent that. So we're pretty good for that. We do need to spend an ongoing amount, though, that we need to do. Work with them. I don't know.
This should be good. It's 6 months. And there's a development plan for bridges that we approved. Part of that spot. I think we did a council 2 years ago approved development plan with the land right now. How do you work the city? We did it. Remember years ago, but I don't think the city's done anything. I don't think the developer or the owner of the land wants to take it to it. Has done it in their development. I'm blocking it. There was some talk about trying to do a land swap to allow access to a piece of property easier and give the city a different parcel. The city parcel, we're talking about if you go to the train station, parking lot there, where down to where all the drop off my cardboard. The city owns that 300-400 feet of land that's just vacant. That's what he would like to have to be able to access back behind.
Not as far as I know. I can find out though. I'll find out. I'll bring it back to you.
We closed all that out years ago. Former, right? Isn't that what we called it? The former redevelopment agency? Okay.
I'll find out. I'll bring it back. Yeah, right. No, I do know that she passed away. So now with now that she's passed away, the trust is, I think, they've got some trust issues that they got to work out. I know that Jonathan, our economic director, has been in contact with Robert and has been talking to him, but I don't have any specific update. I would really like to get the fence taken down. Okay. Okay. Right. Yeah. One more minute, so let's take some questions.
"29 minutes past the top of the hour here at FM 104.5 AM 950 KAHI, voice of the foothills. If you're just tuning in, we're listening into the Auburn Meddlers meeting, as we do every Tuesday during the 7 o'clock hour. We're going to pause now to show some love to our advertisers. We'll be right back right after this.
In air conditioning business, the state of California has millions of regulations, but surprisingly, almost nothing.
It's not an issue so much like staff-wise. There could be a general plan or a zoning issue. We're going through the general plan update, and I think that'll help kind of push some stuff forward. But I haven't heard of anything being like stalled out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Sandy's not here, but behind River Average area, the development that was approved well before me, 24 homes, and they probably had 15 of those homes already up, and actually people moving in. So there are small projects that are right at the home driveway. So we're at 7:31. We have now 1 minute. I'm sorry, I promised you more time, but thank you, Sean. I want to introduce, no stranger to all of you, but today's guest speaker is Don Ailes, the CEO of the Gold Country Fairgrounds. So, Don, welcome. You brought your own fan?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me again. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jackie, for hosting, and looking forward to having coffee with Sean here, and Daniel. Thank you for having me. Steve Galliard not here today. I was told it'd be okay, so I'm trusting in that. I want to do it a little different today. We last time I was here, which was not so long ago, I gave kind of a history of the Gold Country Fairgrounds, who we are, what we've done. I want to make it a little more personal today and talk a little bit about who I am, where I'm from, what I'm about.
32 minutes past the top of the hour here at FM 104.5 AM 950 KAHI, voice of the foothills, 7:32 a.m. We're going to go back now to the Auburn Meddlers meeting, as we do during the 7 o'clock hour here on KAHI. Right now, we're hearing from today's guest speaker, Don Ailes, who is the CEO of the Gold Country Fairgrounds. Let's go ahead and tune back in.
So that makes me a longtime resident, but I didn't go to Placer High. I'm sorry about that. So I know that's important. But my daughter's here, one of my 3 beautiful daughters, and she did go to school here in the community. And I have 3 of them. There she is, Marissa. You may know her. So the next generation is representing Hillman. I can't do that, but at least they can. And I have 6 beautiful grandkids, love dearly, who are growing up rapidly. So we're going to one's graduating from college here this year. The other one's graduating from high school. Marissa has a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old, which she's stressing about. But I told her, hey, empty nest is a good thing, so don't worry about that. Sometimes we can get that opportunity to bring them home and then send them back to their home. So it's not a bad idea. Also have a lovely wife. This year I'll be celebrating 46 years, if you can imagine that. A long time. I feel like I met her out of preschool, but not totally true. And I'm turning 67 this year on June 1st, so I'm not a young man either. Most of you in the room are young men. We, in our heart anyway, we all try to be. So I'm aging too. So I want to answer some of those questions related to me as well. But the main thing I want to let everybody know is I've been here working hard doing a lot of things in the community. I know most of you either directly, indirectly. We've done events together. We've done a lot of fun stuff together. I'm looking over here at Bob, who Snyder, we did a lot of mentoring of me and telling me what I could do versus what I couldn't do. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. We did. You got me to this point. That's right. So thank you. I really appreciate that. I've been through, Sean, no offense, but I think 5 city managers. Something like I'm losing count. Jackie, I think you're the 4th CEO I worked with at the chamber. So we are all changing, but we're all part of the same fabric. Dan, I don't get to work with you too much, but now I'll be as state fire marshal. I will work with him on some projects and things. So I hope he goes kind to us because we need it. The point I'm making is we're all part of the same fabric. We're all trying to do the same thing. Some of the things about me, I love ag. For some reason, people think I don't care about ag. I love agriculture. The biggest project we've done at Fairgrounds in a long time, over 40 years, is the brand new swine park. My board has told me you're over budget, you're over budget, you're over budget. And it's like when the board says you're over budget, just like when the city council touched on, you're spending too much, pull it in. We did because our kids needed it, they deserved it. It's a shining star on the hill. So we're proud of that. During COVID, we were able to do an auction and only 4 other pairs, maybe 5 other pairs. We were able to do that, Jim. I think we participated in that. We had, at the time, Carly Bornbush, who's now Carly Long. She was a big advocate of getting that done. I worked with the county to make sure that we had the right safety plan in place, worked with all the different agencies, 4-H, FFA, independents, teachers, anyone we could talk to get that done. And we got it done. And I'm pleased to say that reignited our kids, and our kids are back stronger than ever. And that was the best year they ever had in terms of their project. And I say project because they raise a livestock animal, they sell it at the auction, and they crushed it. And those kids were crying, and they were so pleased. And they didn't have a lot to get excited about during COVID, but that was one thing they were able to rally around. So I'm pleased we were able to do that. We've got 9 projects we did out and over at that fairgrounds since 2017. When I took over, the bar was about down here, as you know, we were about ready to go under. The bar is now much higher. The next growth, the next phase is going to be have to occur with someone besides myself because I'm not going to be here forever. I'm looking at another 1 to 3 years max, depending on my health and the community wants me. Obviously, I love what I do. I continue to love what I do. I wake up every morning. It's not a job to me. It's fun. So as long as I have that energy in my heart, I'm going to keep working hard at fairgrounds. When I wake up and say, not so much, then that's probably time for me to say goodbye. But that's not in the near future, but certainly not as long as some people think. But I'm excited about where we're going, what we're going to do. We've got some projects on the pedestals now. We've got some in the visionary plan. We've got a strategic plan we're working on. The other thing about the fabric, I was talking about how we're all interwoven. The Heritage Foundation, which does a lot of work for the fairgrounds, we're pleased to say, I started that foundation as their president. So in 2016, I worked on the bylaws, the articles of incorporation. I was that president until 2017.
Okay, off to read the news. Enjoy local things.
You have to say you can't do both because they have to remain independent. So I'm very connected to our foundation and how it works. We have 4 things we use to make money at the fairgrounds. The state gives us a certain allocation, given us a little more lately than they have in the past, which we're appreciative. The county has given us support through sponsorships and big sponsorships during COVID, so we thank them for that. And we're big on that, so thank you, Jim. So we have that. Our rental rates is another way we make those monies. And last but not least, it's through the support of our events. And we are doing a lot of events, which is exciting for us. I always say we have about 200 events, probably a little less than that. But we certainly have a lot of events going on, many of them new, many of them older. So the chef just finished. Casey, I know a big part of that. I owe him some money for our sponsorship. So I apologize, Casey. I'll get that to you. I know hands are. He's going to give me before the night's over, so I might as well just say that. So we're all involved. We're all doing the same thing. We're all trying to get better. But my request to you, each and every one of you, is help us get better. Let us know what we can do better. Come see me. You got something you want to talk about? An idea, proclamation, something that bothers you? Come see me because I'm there to talk and listen. I may not always agree with you. I may have to say no. Sometimes no people leave bad feelings, but at least you have the opportunity to say what's up and I can answer those questions for you. And I wanted to raise the spirit of this community. I want to ask for all of you to start looking at how can we support one another? How can we help figure out a way to make the fairgrounds even better than it is? got our maintenance manager there, Ray, who's done a great job. Any of you that come to the fairgrounds know that it's way better than it's looked in a long time. So let's give him a round of applause because they work hard. Small but mighty team of 6, I guess, total. And we have Sonia and Aaron next to them. So we have a mighty team. They're in the office, including me, but I would say that I learned more from them than they learned from me. So thank you for that. Appreciate that. A lot of skill, a lot of young people. So as we look to the future of that fairground, that's what I'm looking at. Is how do we take what's currently in place? How do we plan that for the future? And how do we ensure that the future has a future? Not easy. And those are the decisions we make each and every day. When I make them with the best information I have in hand. And sometimes they're good decisions to some people. Sometimes they're maybe could be made differently. But we're making them with one thing in mind, and that's how do we make our fairgrounds better. I look at Aaron, I look at Sonia, I look at Ray. I think the owners, one in the room, there's 36, without telling them too much about ages. They need a future. That future is only going to happen if we make sure they have that future. So my job is to mentor them. Their job is to train me. Together we do that. And I think the community as a whole can do that. And we do that. I look at Bob from Leadership Auburn. Thank you for that opportunity. And we said, you and Bruce said, how do we reshape Leadership Auburn? We did it. What a glorious time I've had. It was fun. And I got to meet a lot of people who came to the committee for the first time and then see how they go and become part of the fabric of our community. So we're all interconnected, whether we like it or not. We're all going to continue to be interconnected. So the goal and the hope is that when we do that, we look at it from a future perspective, not from the moment or the short term, things should be different, or maybe the solution wasn't what we like. We're looking to build a bridge to the future. And if we don't, shame on us, because we've been entrusted to this beautiful 38.6 acres. We do a lot of things there. Anxious to start working with Sean. He's got some great ideas, his staff. So as we build that future, let's figure out how to keep putting bridges. I'm putting an olive branch out today. I want to be better, and I want to be stronger, and I want to do what's best for the community. Help me do that. And when you have concerns or questions, come see me. I'm never going to make an excuse for the decisions we make to better our fairgrounds, because that's my job. That's why I'm hired. But I'm always willing to learn, even at 67 and through the first. So you can train me, you can teach me, and know I'm here to not only serve you as a community, but I'm here to make sure that the fairgrounds is successful. Some people think I'm looking to get a state job or have a state job, which I would love having a state job. So no offense, but we have a state job. So I'm not moving anywhere. This is where I want to retire. This is where I want to live. I have a home here. My roots are here. So collectively, I want to work with you. And what I'm going to do now with the rest of the time, I want to kind of leave a question and answer, because I know there may be questions or thoughts you may have. I want you to share them. But before you do, I want to share this wonderful thing. We'll pass it around. Our fair is coming up. It's our 135th fair. It's September 5th through the 8th. Its theme is Welcome to the Wild, Wild West. And in this poster, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about today. On one side of it is Old Town. On the other side is downtown. And if you look closely, you'll see a little carousel in the back, the Ferris wheel, which represents the Old Country Fair. So as entities, not only are we interconnected, our futures are going to be either determined by how we play together or how we don't play together. So let's find a way to make sure we do that. And let's find a way to know if you're proud of our individual efforts, but collectively, because individually give, together we make a difference. We'll pass this along, and we'll take any questions.
All right, question.
That's you.
Oh, how much more time do I have? I got plenty of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Correct. Sure. And that's a great question. So that's kind of what we're dealing with, because our rates have slowly gone up the last 7 years. Well, they're slowly coming. You're welcome to ask the deeper questions. But anyway, typically we've done 3 to 5%, but COVID changed a lot of things. We're also becoming more and more invested in our infrastructure. So as we invest in our infrastructure, I mentioned the things that we can rely on to survive, which is basically sponsorships, fair attendance, interim rentals, and rental rates, and the allocation we get from the state. So all those things we try to blend and come out of a hopper. When we go to our budget in October, the board gets to review all that information and the board makes a determination. So the rental rates that you see when they come out are ones that have been approved by the board as well, because they have the fiduciary responsibility for it. So it is a tough battle. We try to fight it every day. We try to figure out how can we lower costs. We did lower energy costs, which helped us keep our rates a lot tighter. But then PG&E is, and I'm not blaming PG&E, but their rates went through the roof. So things change, and we're trying to change with them. But if we don't have a certain baseline, we can't reinvest in our fairgrounds. And we did that for 30 years, and it was terrible. So we've had that comment from people. I can say that the ones who have commented have actually rebooked. So we've been able to manage it. Sometimes they look at it from less setup days. Sometimes they look at it from maybe a different building size. But we've not lost any of them. We've had concerns. There's one that we're waiting to talk to Mandarin. I know Bridget brought Mandarin up. I've not heard back from the promoter yet. But so far, they've all rebooked and they've booked into next year. So we're doing well with that, and we're trying to answer their questions when they come in, and where we can help, we help. Well, what happened last year is what happened last year, they had rain, and they obviously had half of the crop they normally have. So last year wasn't a great year for them. No, exactly, and that's what I try to say is it's an unfortunate timing, but also I haven't talked to the promoter yet. He's not come into my office, so we have had zero conversation other than sending information to him. In Newcastle, right? Yeah, right. 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 Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a great idea. We work on that with them when they come in to see us and direct them to people who are interested in their events.
"15 minutes to the top of the hour here at FM 104.5, AM 950 KAHI, Voice of the Foothills. We are listening in on the Auburn Meddlers meeting, as we do every Tuesday during the 7 o'clock hour. We're going to pause for just a minute to take some and show some love to our advertisers. We'll be back right after this.
2023 for many people, and especially small
Take
businesses.
Show some
it
love.
was a year to put in your
About 2 weeks to get that organized and get it done. So what the board tried to do is figure out how do we either make it a smaller event, or how do we find a way to get some revenue for it to share the costs? And it kind of just collapsed on itself, which is unfortunate. But that's part of the thing too. We all have to look at our business models and what we're trying to do, and how do we make that work? Because things have changed in the last even 5 years. And they say if you don't reshape yourself every 3 to 5 years, you could possibly not even be available as a business. So I'm not saying that the gift basket program should change, but we've got to find a way to make that work. And I would be happy to talk to them again, because there are
just a few minutes and
for those kinds of setups, because they have the money, but they don't have the means. So if you put volunteers and money together, I think you get a better program. That's just my thoughts.
How was National Vote Rate?
Sure.
trade or recovery, they've got you covered.
So that's a policy decision, and we are looking at policies right now to see where those options may or may not be. What you have to realize too is, and this is tough, but we live in Auburn, and I live and play in Auburn, but we're the district, we're the 20th district. So we're filling a lot of different people's needs, and we got in this trouble, or I shouldn't say trouble, this challenging position before, because we're picking winners and losers. So we really can't do that, and if we do, it has to be a policy that.
In one store, right here in Auburn, McCullough Department.
12 minutes to the top of the hour here at FM 104.5 AM 950 KAHI. You know what it is. It is the voice of the foothills. Good Tuesday morning to you, Tuesday, March 19th. We are in the 7 o'clock hour on Tuesday, which means we are listening in on the Auburn Meddlers meeting, as we do every Tuesday during this time. We're going to go ahead and head back there now. We're hearing from guest speaker today, Don Ailes, who is the CEO of the Gold Country Fairgrounds. Let's go ahead and tune back in now.
Trying to, so as a CEO of the fairgrounds, I would rather there be a policy that I can follow, and then I can go ahead and make the policy happen, implement it, and that's what we're working on. So that's one way to help nonprofits, but to just help individuals without having some way to follow a plan, I think is dangerous. So I have not talked to them, if you're referring to the ones who recently, yeah, so I have not talked to them. So my understanding is they were removed. So you're appointed by the governor, and you're also either resigned or can be removed by the governor. So if you choose to resign, that's an option too. If you're removed, they don't tell you necessarily why. They never were told anybody that I'm aware of why, because it becomes a personnel issue at that time. So the optics are always there. People are always wondering, well, why'd that happen? I don't have that answer for you. The state won't tell you even if you called them. So all you can do is look at the body of work and understand that the fairgrounds is an asset. The board is an asset to the governor's office. So however they use that asset, they're going to make those choices and decisions without my input, without your input. And then unfortunately, the community deals with that. And I as CEO really deal with it. But I don't know why they're removed. We currently have, to my knowledge, 3. Well, you know, the day just started, so no, I'm kidding. There's 3 left. There's 3 left.
Go ahead, Mike. You have follow-up?
9 normally, so we have 9. It's in full capacity. Right now, there's 6. Right, and that's one of the things I'm going to talk with Sean about. I think we can do that way better. Part of it is because we work with the all the state agencies, which would be CHP, but we're starting to work closer with Auburn because they're coming in to talk to us. So if APD comes to us or the fire department comes to us, and then I talk to Sean, and we started that dialogue. So I think we'll improve that because it has bad things sometimes because of the volume of noise and traffic, but it also has good benefits, which is the economic side. So I'm hoping we can start building that relationship. I've heard that.
That's what I'm saying. John, real quick, I'm going to come to you next. John, this fellow rumor, there's a lot of concern the community has raised about the fairgrounds becoming a homeless shelter. And I think there was a grant that you received to do some improvements, but maybe you could talk a little bit about that. Sure. And maybe just answer some questions. Will the fairgrounds become a homeless shelter?
Okay, thank you. That was one of the ones I was going to touch. So I didn't touch on that. So we applied for resiliency funds. And as you know, Daniel, resiliency funds, for those of you who don't know, are ways for, especially places where emergencies happen, to upgrade their facilities. And it's big dollars. And it's one area that if we really want to change the fairgrounds in a big way, for example, we have a quote right now that's over $1 million in one of our buildings. I don't have $1 million. If we're going to raise $1 million, the rental rates would be so bad we'd be empty, right? So, but the way we get money like that is through resiliency funds. So as long as I've been here CEO, which is only since 2017, I've never been asked, you're going to make this a homeless shelter. So I can just go, can I talk about 20 years future? Obviously I can't. But the governor looks at the Gold Country Fairgrounds as an asset. We're one of only 40 fairs that are actually making a profit. So they want that to continue. Their asset is starting to produce not only revenue, but it's gaining in value. So the governor is not looking at the Gold Country Fairgrounds as homeless shelter. But resiliency funds, you will find that in there because that's the pot of money we're trying to get. We can't get it through AB 1499, which is a Senate bill which has tax revenues, and only through those funds, for whatever reason, the fire department, the flood service scheme, all these different agencies, there's a big pot of gold there for all of us to get to because we realize that we're one breath away from an emergency. And Because we have 38 acres and it's in the middle of Highway 80, halfway to Tahoe, halfway to Sacramento, we're a logical spot, unfortunately, when there are catastrophes. I say unfortunately because if you happen to have an event going on at the time, you're very upset with us, right? But from a community standpoint, it's how we protect and preserve the future of our community. So it's a tough balancing act, but I can dispel that rumor. We're not going to become a homeless shelter.
Evacuation shelter.
It's an evacuation, yes. Right. But obviously, homeless people could end up there and put into evacuation, but that's not a shelter.
Oh, sorry.
Sure. Uh-huh. Sure. Mm. Sure. Right. Mm. Yes. Yeah. No, they're still available. As a matter of fact, because they were set aside for this reason, this is part of his plan to have money for these situations.
Lining up
And
some
we've
dad
actually
jokes.
So we, as 12 CEOs within the Fair Network, kind of started a new group that we're trying to put together where we can hire the legislative will and the means to go after the resilience funds because they go untouched sometimes because no one knows how to go over and get them. Grants are another option. So we're chasing those monies now. And currently, we've just recently in this new group, we've hired a legislative consultant as well as someone who's politically connected. So we're on the legislative calendar, constantly trying to figure out how do we make fairgrounds get some of that money. One of the things we have to be conscious of, they don't like the term fairgrounds, they like the term event center. Because fairgrounds, they think of a fair. We do a lot more than a fair. Now, the fair is not going away. It's part of our mission statement. We love the fair. Celebrating 135 years this year. But understand that what you can do to help and keep the state away from that is the more events we have there, the more people who support the fairgrounds, the more revenue streams that come in, the easier it is for us to show that this is a positive asset, not only to the state, but to the community they reside in. They are very cognizant of the fact that they live in the middle of the city of Auburn and they want to be good neighbors. So they do want to help. We just got to figure out how to vet that.
Well, I think there's a question online here for Bill. How much influence does the state have decisions made about the future of the fairgrounds?
Most people are that good, sir. Hi, Bill. The state makes the decisions through the board, so that would be a board question more than myself. So the state's not going to tell us what to do unless they've had input and discussion with the board.
Thank you. We talked about this before, but fairgrounds is my own essentially really appreciate that for the schedule that we've had recently before continuing it on. It's funny to know that the city supports the fairgrounds and making sure that fairgrounds strategy so that's what I think. Folks know that the city does support the city huge efforts. Thank you. We have a couple minutes left. Yeah.
So I don't speak from my end because I didn't write it, but it's money that's been set aside by the governor through the budget to take care of any kind of emergencies that may arise in a community by building the venues that could support those emergencies. So obviously, if a school was one of those venues, they might have access to that money. So it's basically when people are moved or evacuated from their normal situation and then put into this terrible situation, the goal of the governor's office is to make sure it's not worse. And you can understand that. So before we put a new roof on the plaster building, we wonder, please don't rain because we're going to have water in our head, right? So we want to take somebody from a bad situation where they've lost livestock or there's a fire, God forbid, and maybe lost their home, and we put them into a facility where it's got a leaky roof, there's no HVAC, there's nowhere for them to have a kitchen to prepare food. So that's where resiliency comes from. How do we take people that have been moved from one bad situation and make sure they're cared for in another situation And the way fairgrounds or venues benefit, or event centers, is we get to build our facilities up so that you can take advantage of it when there's not an emergency, which we hope is most of the time. But God forbid, when there is an emergency, we're there to take care of it. So that's how I define resilience.
Climate resilience. That's the changing climate. Wildfires, you need a place for people to back to. More hot triple-digit temperature days, places for cooling centers. So resiliency is really built around resiliency to the changing climate. Safe definition of it.
Mm-hmm. Not in any of our meetings, and I'm meeting with them again Wednesday and Thursday. We have our CEO training. We haven't talked about that. We haven't heard about that. There was one fairgrounds, I think Stockton, that was doing really personal. So, but that's a different issue. They're city owned, I think. I'm not mistaken, but I've heard anything.
1 more minute, Rosalie, close this out.
So it's funny you say that. 2017, the ones right next to the main stage were redone. And then in 2019, the ones in the Sierra building were redone. And the foundation has just given us money, and then we have budgeted in our capital plan. So we'll be doing the Placer building. So we'll have, so we'll have 6 new restrooms, for lack of a better word. But it's on my list because, as my daughters say, Dad, I'm never going in that restroom again. So I get it. The Placer building should be started this year, right? Would you agree? Yeah. He's shaking his head yes. So this year.
All right, well, Don, thank you very much for
Thank
joining
you.
us this morning. Sean, thank you. I know Cindy already had leave. Let's see you guys next week.
And it is right smack dab at the top of the hour 8 a.m. here at FM 104.5, AM 950 KAHI, voice of the foothills. Thanks so much for joining me. Chris Quant with you here in the mornings, holding it down in beautiful Studio A, 6 to 9 a.m. Producer Adam, that's the wrong song. We clicked on the wrong one here. Hang on. Let's get our normal, what are we doing during the third hour here? Grayson, let's do that. There we go. That's a little bit more, that feels a little bit more like at home. There we go. We've got our correct music playing now. It is the top of the hour here, 8 a.m. Thanks so much for joining me again as we're getting started on this Tuesday, March 19th. Happy first day of spring, by the way. We'll get to some fun facts about spring, maybe something you want to share with friends, family members, coworkers around the actual or digital water cooler today. So, there's a couple things there I was looking like, I didn't know that. That's interesting. So as we're getting started today is absolutely incredible kid day. If you've got some incredible kids, grandkids, great-grandkids out there, aren't they amazing? My kids, I've said this before, 16 and 13 years old. My 16-year-old, well, every now and then, he just comes up with these little phrases or sayings that just crack me up. And it's one of those things that just comes out of nowhere, and it just kind of takes you off guard, and you're like, what? What did you just say? What would... That was hilarious. So now the kids are starting to get their own personalities, and you see the humans that they're becoming. And it is so incredible. My youngest son, I've shared this many a times. He's starting to raise his first dog for guide dogs for the blind. So cool that he's doing into that. He and I took we were puppy sitting another dog, so there was another dog for our little guy Kelpie, who's the little, what do we have, 4 months now? He's a 4-month-old lab that we've got him. Now he had a friend to play with yesterday, so my son and I both took him out on a walk yesterday. On a beautiful sun, really nice to get the dogs out there, walk down to the post office, got the mail, all that good stuff. Gorgeous day for that. Get out there again today. If you didn't have a chance, there's folks. I'm looking outside the beautiful windows here in Studio A. There's folks walking their dogs outside right now. Get out there and enjoy the sun for the next couple of days. We're going to check in with meteorologist Tim Root here in just a little bit to find out what our weather is going to look like. But yeah, we've got some rain coming back here. So over these next couple of days, get out there and enjoy that beautiful sunshine, that little break in the rain. Today is also Chocolate Caramel Day. So there's a dessert idea for you. Chocolate and caramel. That's, ooh. Sounds amazing. It's Let's Laugh Day, and we're going to help with that here at the bottom half of this hour. We're going to do our daily dad jokes. We didn't get to do them last hour because we had the meddlers meeting, but we will do our daily dad jokes, make you laugh, sigh, or roll your eyes. We'll do that at the bottom of this hour at 8:30 a.m. And today is Poultry Day, so maybe there's a dinner idea. Maybe you're having chicken for dinner tonight. If today is your birthday, happy stinking birthday to you. Hope you have a fantastic day. Other folks that share your birthday, Bruce Willis, German-American, I didn't know he was German. German-American actor born on this day in 1955. Dr. Livingston, I presume. David Livingstone, Scottish missionary and explorer, was born on this day in 1813. And Wyatt Earp, American police officer, born on this day in 1848. One of my all-time favorite movies, Tombstone. My goodness gracious, that is a good one. Hey, talking about some fun facts for spring. Hey, did you know this? Benjamin Franklin was the first to propose daylight savings time in 1784. Yeah, I guess it made sense back then. It wasn't implemented, though, fully implemented until the end of the Second World War. Really? Was that recent? And I thought it was a long time ago. The first day of spring is called the vernal equinox. What does that stand for, you ask? Well, vernal is Latin for spring, while equinox is Latin for equal night. Oh, I did not know that. Okay, there we go. The first spring flowers are typically, we should ask the garden goddesses to fact check this one, but I'm sure they would probably know more than most. The first spring flowers are typically daffodils, dandelions, lilies, tulips, irises, lilacs, to name a few. Those daffodils are popping up strong around my house, seen them around here in town. Let's see, baby birds learn to sing during spring. Although they are born with the ability to sing, they must learn the specific songs of their species. They often learn their songs within 2 months of being born. That's interesting. And Arizona and Hawaii do not follow daylight savings time. Controversial there. No, not really. And yeah, so interesting stuff about spring there. And spring fever is a real syndrome. When the temperature rises during the warm spell after a long winter, there's a dilation of blood vessels, so blood can be carried to the body surfaces where heat can be lost quickly. People experience an energetic feeling when this happens. So spring fever is an actual thing. All right, we need to find out what today's looking like. It's feeling very spring out there with meteorologist Tim Root. Timmy, how are we looking for today?
Tuesday morning, and welcome to the first day of spring. It'll be mostly sunny. It's going to feel like spring in the low 70s today. Light southwest winds. Mostly clear overnight in the mid to upper 40s, and those light winds will continue. Southwest wind about 10 miles per hour Wednesday. Mostly sunny in the mid to upper 60s. A little bit cooler, but not bad. Thursday, mostly sunny around 65 degrees. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
Catch Sinatra and Friends Saturdays and Sundays right here on 104.5 FM and AM 950 KAHI. Join Frank and his friends, Sammy, Dean, Tony Bennett, and more, performing songs from the Great American Songbook. Sinatra and Friends Weekends, brought to you by Naturewood Home Furnishings on Folsom Boulevard in Rancho Cordova. Right here on the Voice of the Foothills, 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
5 minutes past the top of the hour, 8:05 a.m. Coming up in our next segment, we're going to have your Fox Business Report, also your traffic. Look at the roadways out there. Back now to America's First News. I'll see you back here in just a little bit.
Tuesday morning, 6 minutes past the hour on this March 19th. And new this morning, the U.S. is warning Israel against conducting a major ground offensive of Rafah as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu Monday agreed to send a team of officials to Washington.
Oh, fun fact, spring actually happens at 8:06 p.m. tonight as well. So there you go. There's a little bonus for those watching the live stream.
And Israel's conduct during the war. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan.
The president has rejected, and did again today, the straw man that raising questions about Rafah is the same as raising questions about defeating Hamas. That's just nonsense. Our position is that Hamas should not be allowed a safe haven in Rafah or anywhere else. But a major ground operation there would be a mistake. It would lead to more innocent civilian deaths, worsen the already dire humanitarian crisis, deepen the anarchy in Gaza, and further isolate Israel internationally. More importantly, the key goals Israel wants to achieve in Rafah can be done by other means. On the call today, President Biden asked the Prime Minister to send a senior interagency team composed of military, intelligence, and humanitarian officials to Washington in the coming days to hear U.S. concerns about Israel's current Rafah planning and to lay out an alternative approach that would target key Hamas elements in Rafah and secure the Egypt-Gaza border without a major ground invasion.
The call between the two came after Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer called Netanyahu an obstacle to peace, calling for an election in Israel. Netanyahu on CNN claimed Israeli support his prosecution of the war, despite polls showing Israelis want an election.
Well, we'll see when we win the war And until we win the war, I think Israelis understand that if we were to have elections now, before the war is won, resoundingly won, we would have at least 6 months of national paralysis, which means we would lose the war. If we don't win the war, we lose the war. And that would be not only a defeat for Israel, but a defeat for America too, because our victory is your victory. We're fighting these barbarians.
Will you commit to new elections when the war winds down?
Everything that we hold dear together.
Will you commit to new elections?
I think that's something for the Israeli public to decide, but it's not something. No, look, that's something for the Israeli people to decide. I think it's ridiculous to talk about it. It's like after 9/11, after 9/11, you're in the midst of fighting the war against Al Qaeda, and an Israeli would say, you know what we need now is either new elections in the U.S. or if your system doesn't allow, then President Bush should resign and we should have an alternative leader. You don't do that.
Well, let's talk about why.
A sister democracy to an ally. You don't talk about that. What you do talk about is how do we help you defeat what President Biden called sheer evil. You don't just stop after you destroyed 80% of sheer evil.
Biden administration officials have warned that they would not support an operation in Rafah without Israelis presenting a credible plan to ensure the safety of innocent Palestinian civilians. Israel has yet to present such a plan, according to the White House. Former President Donald Trump Monday charged that Jews who vote for Democrats hate Israel and hate their religion, igniting a firestorm of criticism from the White House and Jewish leaders. Trump, in an interview, had been asked about Democrats' growing criticism of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over his handling of the war. Trump responded to his former aide, Sebastian Gorka, I actually think they hate Israel. I think they hate Israel, and the Democratic Party hates Israel. Trump, who last week became the Republican Party's presumptive nominee, went on to charge any Jewish person that votes for Democrats hates their religion. President Joe Biden signed an executive order Monday aimed at advancing the study of women's health by strengthening data collection and providing better funding opportunities for biomedical research. And said Republicans celebrating the end of Roe v. Wade will find out in November the power of women. Vice President Kamala Harris, women's health advocate Maria Shriver, and the First Lady also attended the reception.
With the stroke of his pen, women will get the answers and the care they have long sought and they so rightly deserve. And we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a country of liberty, freedom, and rule of law, or a country of disorder, fear, and hate? Each of us has the power to answer that question. With our feet, with our voice, and with our vote.
Those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade and support a national ban on abortion have no clue about the power of women. I mean it sincerely. But they're finding out. If you send me a Democratic Congress that supports reproductive freedom, I promise you, we will restore Roe v. Wade again as the law of the land.
Biden continues pointing out it was his predecessor and opponent, Donald Trump, who picked the conservative justices, leading to the end of Roe v. Wade. Women were a critical part of the coalition that elected Biden in 2020, giving him 55% of their votes. Donald Trump's lawyers told a New York appellate court Monday it's impossible for him to post a bond of a $454 million civil fraud judgment while he appeals, suggesting the former president's legal losses have put him in a serious cash crunch. Trump claims he's worth billions, but his attorneys say that's not the case, citing rejections from more than 30 bond underwriters. Trump's attorneys want the state's intermediate appeals court to reverse a prior ruling requiring that he post a bond covering the full amount in order to halt enforcement while he appeals the judgment in New York Attorney General Letitia James's lawsuit. James said she will seek to seize some of Trump's assets if he's unable to pay. Fabric and craft retailer Joann has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection as consumers continue cutting back on discretionary spending and some pandemic-era hobbies. In a Monday statement, the Hudson, Ohio-based company said it expected to emerge from bankruptcy as early as the end of next month. Following the process, Joann will likely become privately owned by certain lenders and industry parties, meaning its shares would no longer be publicly traded. Joann's bankruptcy filing arrives amid both a slowdown in discretionary spending overall and during a time consumers are taking a step back from at-home crafts, at least relative to a boom seen at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. The company was born back in 1943 with a single storefront in Cleveland, Ohio. It later grew to a national chain, formerly known as Joann Fabric and Craft Stores. The company rebranded itself with the shortened Joann for its 75th anniversary.
Breaking news first. America's first news. Coast to Coast. We'll be right back. It's coming. Crisp fall mornings turn bitter cold. You climb into your diesel and it feels like you're sitting on an ice cube. Imagine how your engine feels after a frosty night. Freezing temperatures impact your diesel's fluids, especially fuel. As the temperatures drop, water that is emulsified within your fuel is released, adding more water into your system. Frozen water in your fuel lines, filter, or bowl will simply slow the flow, or worse, stop the flow of fuel in your system. No fuel flow, no start. Get prepared now for the cold that is coming. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel is a premium fuel additive that lowers your fuel's pour point to minus 65 degrees. If it's that cold out, you shouldn't be on the road. You ought to be at home in front of the fireplace. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel Premium Fuel Additive. Available now online at hotshotsecret.com. Powered by science.
And good Tuesday morning to you. Tuesday, March 19th, 14 minutes past the top of the hour. It is 8:14 here at FM 104.5, AM 950 KAHI, voice of the foothills. And hey, good morning to you, Placerville. Currently 51 degrees where you're at right now, looking for a high today of 69 degrees. All right, let's turn it over now to the Fox Business Report.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
AstraZeneca is buying another pharmaceutical company. AstraZeneca is looking to build up their cancer pipeline. They're buying Fusion Pharma for $2 billion cash. That works out to $21 a share, essentially where it is now. The crown jewel is Fusion's mid-stage trial to treat prostate cancer. So basically, the goal of all of this is to replace eventually traditional cancer treatment like chemotherapy with targeted treatments.
Fox's Lawrence Minetti. Fusion stock doubling on the news. Housing starts rebound in February by the largest amount in 9 months, while building permits, a sign of future construction, also rise, hitting the highest level since August, up 1.9% in February, reaching a 1.52 million annual rate. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you. You can live out your MasterChef dream when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel.
Oh, Lordy.
Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
Mountain Valley Property Management in Grass Valley says, don't be afraid to discuss the problems concerning drug abuse with your children, including methamphetamine. Help stamp out this growing problem through education. This message from Dave, the owner of Mountain Valley Property Management, in loving memory of his late brother who left us too soon. For information or service, call 530-272-1631, 530-272-1631 for Mountain Valley Property Management in Grass Valley, on the air because they care about a drug-free future for our children and community.
16 minutes past the top of the hour, taking a look outside at our roadways right now, gang. It's slow out there, so if you're heading anywhere towards the Sacramento area, you're going to have some delays, so make sure you're giving yourself plenty of time if you haven't already. 65 southbound if you're coming from Lincoln towards I-80, slowing at Blue Oaks and Pleasant Grove, as we would expect this time of day. Slowing down around Greenback and Madison as you're coming down to the Cap City split. Cap City Freeway looking slow all the way down from Watt Avenue there down into Sacramento right now, and also coming out of Sacramento, coming back up. Going 80 eastbound, I-5 northbound slow, and also slow southbound coming back into Sacramento. So at 5-5, if you're going to the airport or coming back home, expect some slowdowns there. Hey, the rest area is closed south at Vietnam Veterans Rest Area on I-5 just past the airport there. So heads up if you're coming in that way. You don't have a place to go to the bathroom there if you're coming in southbound. 50 eastbound and westbound looking good if you're going up the hill. If you're coming down the hill, coming into Sacramento, you're starting to slow right down around Watt Avenue as you're coming into Sacramento, so heads up there. Otherwise, 80 and 50 going up into the mountains, looking real good. Of course, no chain controls right now, but weather's coming back again this weekend, so make sure if you're heading up to the hills this weekend that you got chains with you. Back with more right after this.
Life can be cruel at times, and we don't know where to turn. If Primary Jane Copier, I might have some ideas on how to cope better and happier on my new show coming soon. It's time to redirect our energy to make a more positive and caring way, and I hope to help you head in that direction. hang in there with me, and perhaps we can head in a new direction together. Don't forget, it's coming soon.
Because KAHI cares. Here's another KAHI community bulletin board.
If food rules your life, get help and support
Hi, Jenny.
from others that understand your situation. Overeaters Anonymous is a support group for eating disorders. There are no weigh-ins, no dues, or fees. Just individuals that understand. Join them at 10 a.m. on Wednesdays at the Pioneer United Methodist Church, 11238 Lincoln Way, or call Sherry at 530-921-8028, or go to oa.org.
18 minutes past the top of the hour. Coming up in our next segment, we're going to have your daily dad jokes. That's right. Make you laugh, sigh, roll your eyes. Probably all three. We got some good ones. If you want to send me yours, you can email me anytime live at KAHI.com. That's LIVE at KAHI.com. Or you can call me 530-885-3565. Back now to America's First News, and I'll see you back here at the bottom of the hour with your daily dad jokes. See ya in just a little bit.
America's First News with Matt Ray.
Oh, I have to finish editing the news now.
We begin this morning with more where the students killed at Oxford High School are calling for a state investigation of all aspects of the 2021 mass shooting, saying the convictions of a teenager and his parents are not enough to close the book. They also want a change in Michigan law, which currently makes it hard to sue the Oxford School District for errors that contributed to the attack.
Our state has not done an investigation on this shooting. They haven't investigated any part of the shooting. I think it's important for the people to know that 4 kids were killed, and our state has not looked into it.
We want this to be a lessons learned for Michigan and across the country ultimately. But in order to get there, some fundamental things have to happen. There has to be a state-driven investigation of the complete incident and the response.
We want accountability and change. No parent, no school district, no child should ever have to go through this. And we continue to prioritize money over the safety of kids. And that's unacceptable.
The Oxford District hired an outside group to conduct an independent investigation. A report released last October said missteps at each level, the school board, administrators, staff, all contributed to the disaster. The state attorney general's office said it was rebuffed by the school board when it offered to investigate the shooting. It said the state does not have authority to pursue its own civil investigation. 17-year-old Ethan Crumbly is serving a life prison sentence for murder and terrorism. His parents will be sentenced on April 9th. An Ohio mother whose 16-month-old daughter died after being left home alone in a playpen for 10 days last summer when she went on vacation was sentenced Monday to life in prison with no chance of parole. Authorities said Crystal Candelario left her daughter Jalen in their Cleveland home when she went on vacation to Detroit and Puerto Rico in June of 2023. When she returned 10 days later, she found the girl was not breathing in the playpen and called 911. Emergency responders found the child was extremely dehydrated and pronounced her dead shortly after they arrived.
Dios y mi hija me ha perdonado.
God and my daughter have forgiven.
You committed the ultimate act of betrayal, leaving your baby terrified, alone, unprotected, to suffer what I heard was the most gruesome death imaginable. You left your baby, Jalen, trapped in a packing plane without food and water for 10 days. This wasn't simply an oversight. I'm going to sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Calendario had pleaded guilty last month to aggravated murder and child endangerment as part of a plea deal with Cuyahoga County prosecutors who dismissed 2 murder counts and a felonious assault charge. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said Monday that presidential elections in Russia were neither free nor fair. Speaking at a news conference in Georgia alongside the Georgian Prime Minister, Stoltenberg called elections in Ukraine and Georgia illegal.
NATO continues to call on Russia to reverse the recognition of Georgian territories as independent states. Russia's organization of elections in occupied parts of Georgia and Ukraine is completely illegal. And Russia's presidential election was clearly neither free nor fair. Georgia is facing complex security challenges. Russia persists its pursuit of imperial ambitions, and in Ukraine, the situation on the battlefield remains difficult. NATO's partnership with Georgia is already strong, and today we discussed how to develop it even further. In January, we agreed to a new individually tailored partnership program to deepen the partnership between Georgia and NATO. And I welcome the progress made in areas like crisis management, cybersecurity, and military engineering.
Stoltenberg arrived from Baku. That's where he discussed cooperation with Azerbaijan and NATO with officials from Azerbaijan's defense and foreign ministries. NATO has only expanded after Russia invaded Ukraine as countries look to the Nordic alliance for protection from Moscow. Former CNN reporter Don Lemon posted his interview with Tesla CEO Elon Musk on X's social media network Monday. The interview was supposed to kick off Lemon's new talk show on the platform. That's until Musk canceled the show shortly after the interview was recorded. Musk, who claims to be a free speech advocate, fired Lemon after he didn't like being questioned.
Choose your question carefully. There's 5 minutes left. Okay, but so is this the question you want to ask? The same question is you said that they are killing the company, but you're the head of the company. The buck doesn't stop with you. I acquired X in order to preserve freedom of speech in America, the First Amendment, and I'm going to stick to that. And if that means making less money, so be it. Why? Because why would that question upset you? You seem upset by it. I think you're not trying to upset you. Well, you are saying because the way you're phrasing the questions, I think, is not cogent.
Musk claimed X decided not to go through with Lemon's show because it was a replica of the failing CNN. Lemon told his former network Musk clearly has his own interpretation of freedom of speech.
During the course of that interview, I never raised my voice. I told him, I think this is important for people to hear, especially considering how the type of discourse that we're having in the country right now. And he supposedly says this is a public square for all. Maybe we're learning that a public square should not be privately owned by someone who doesn't think that there should be any moderation on that platform. So it was interesting because at the end, I could tell that he was upset. He was uncomfortable. It was tense. And I said, listen, I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, I would go and have a beer and hash these things out. You and I do not disagree. You and I do not agree on much. Yeah. But I will fight for your right to be able to say what you want to say. That's what freedom of speech means to me.
And 24 hours later.
And 24 hours later. It means freedom of speech does not mean, I guess, the same thing to him as it does to me.
Lemon asked Musk if he believed that he and his social platform had any responsibility to moderate hate speech on X, singling out the spread of the racist Great Replacement theory that falsely contends that Jews are behind a plot to diminish the influence of white people in the U.S. Musk replied sharply that he doesn't have to answer questions from reporters and said he doesn't care what people think about him. The Environmental Protection Agency Monday announced a comprehensive ban on asbestos, a carcinogen that kills tens of thousands of Americans every year, but is still used in some chlorine bleach, brake pads, and other products. The final rule marks a major expansion of EPA regulation under a landmark 2016 law that overhauled regulations governing tens of thousands of toxic chemicals in everyday products, from household cleaners to clothing and furniture. The new rule would ban crystallite asbestos, the only ongoing use of asbestos in the U.S. The substance is found in products such as brake linings and gaskets and is used to manufacture chlorine bleach and sodium hydroxide, also known as caustic soda, including some that's used for water purification. Asbestos, which was once common in home insulation and other products, is banned in more than 50 countries. Its use in the U.S. has been declining for decades. The vernal equinox arrives today, marking it the start of spring in the northern hemisphere. And the word equinox comes from 2 Latin words meaning equal and night. That's because
I just said that.
Night lasts almost the same amount of time.
I thought I had a corner on that market, but you're the one that's looking up fun facts too.
Summer solstice.
Thanks for nothing, Ray.
Tilted in toward the sun, that creates the longest day and the shortest night of the year. The winter solstice in the northern hemisphere is leading away from the sun, leading to the shortest day and the longest night of the year. And the winter solstice falls between.
All right, you gave out more.
Reach out to me anytime across the board on social media at Matt Ray Talk.
How many more times are
You're going to hit snooze. All right, let's check out our daily dad jokes music. It's that time again, everybody, for your daily dad jokes. That's right, make your left side, roll your eyes. Jeannie granted me one wish, so I said, I just want to be happy. Now I'm living in a cottage with 6 dwarves and working in a mine. From Clement P. A clumsy paleontologist walked on stage with a dinosaur skull. Clumsy paleontologist walked on stage with a dinosaur skull. What happened next is jaw-dropping. And from Emily, did you hear about the guy who got hit in the head with a can of soda? He was lucky it was a soft drink. One minute, Adam.
Display for anyone who's even half paying attention. But the New American magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive the stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture
deep discount.
Published magazine.
Because who gets magazines anymore?
Twice a month, packed with insightful stories written with integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on any subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio20.
10 seconds!
Receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.
And good Tuesday morning to you. It is Tuesday, March 19th. Happy first day of spring, by the way. It is 30 minutes past the top of the hour, 8:30 a.m. here at FM 104.5, AM 950 KAHI, voice of the foothills. And hey, good morning to you, Lake of the Pines. Currently, it is 54 degrees where you're at right now, looking for a high of 70 degrees today. All right, there it is. There, it's time for your daily dad joke. The music is playing. That's right. Make you laugh, sigh, or roll your eyes. Now, on Tuesdays, we do it during the 8 o'clock hour because on Tuesdays during the 7 o'clock hour, when we normally do this, we're playing the Auburn Meddlers meeting, and that's super great to tune into that. But let's go ahead. Let's make sure we don't miss it. So here we go. You can send me yours live at KAHI.com or call me 530-885-3565. Here we go. First one up. A genie granted me one wish, so I said, I just want to be happy. Now I'm living in a cottage with 6 dwarves and working in a mine. A genie granted me one wish, so I said, I just want to be happy. Now I'm living in a cottage with 6 dwarves and working in a mine. Ew. All right. That's not bad. All right. This one is from Clement P. Clement, thanks for emailing this one in. Here we go. A clumsy paleontologist walked on stage with a dinosaur skull. What happened next is jaw-dropping. That was pretty good. A clumsy paleontologist walked on stage with a dinosaur skull. What happened next is jaw-dropping. Ew. And finally, here's the last one. This one was sent in by Emily. Adam, keep the music going. Here we go. Did you hear about the guy who got hit in the head with a can of soda? He was lucky it was a soft drink. That was pretty good. Some of these are they're just so dumb that they're good. Did you hear about the guy who got hit in the head with a can of soda? He was lucky it was a soft drink. Those are your daily dad jokes for this first day of spring. Adam, we should have had a spring daily dad joke. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. All right. And off now to commercials. We'll be back with your weather right after this.
1 to 4 on the voice of the foothills.
Hi, I'm Jamie Markley, the Gen Xer.
I'm David Van Camp, the Millennium, and me, Scott Robbins, the Boomer.
Check out the Markley Van Camp and Robbins Show weekdays 1 to 4.
We talk about everything that's going on in the world, and we make fun of it all.
3 generations coming together to make sense of it all.
And have some fun at the same time.
And see how much we can tweak Robbins.
God damn.
The Markley Van Camp and Robbins Show.
Weekdays from 1 to 4 on the voice of the foothills, FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to the first day of spring. It'll be mostly sunny. It's going to feel like spring in the low 70s today. Light southwest winds. Mostly clear overnight in the mid to upper 40s, and those light winds will continue. Southwest wind about 10 miles per hour Wednesday. Mostly sunny in the mid to upper 60s. A little bit cooler, but not bad. Thursday, mostly sunny around 65 degrees. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
Hey there, KAHI listeners. Producer Adam here to remind you to listen to
That's
Chris in
cracked
the
me
Morning
up.
along with Matt Ray on America's First News. Get all the local news, weather, traffic, and local events you can handle, plus a healthy dose of daily dad jokes. Chris in the Morning with Matt Ray, 6 to 9 a.m. here on FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI, the voice of the foothills.
I never miss it, and neither should you. My goodness, it's early. Adam, that's a good commercial. Thanks for cutting that. What is it? 33 minutes past the top of the hour, 8:33 a.m. Gang hour with America's First News and the O'Reilly Report. As always, be honest, be yourself, and remember, you can't hate somebody if you're hugging them. Fantastic day. I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Back now to America's First News.
Good Tuesday morning. America's First News continues. It's the 19th day of March, 34 minutes past the hour. 19th day of March, 34 minutes past the hour.
That's
and
it.
The U.S. has warned Israel against
Just like that. Boom, it's done.
As Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu Monday
Goes by so fast. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Appreciate it. Hopefully those daily dad jokes were good. Should have had a spring one. Don't know why I didn't think of that. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow we'll have a spring daily dad joke.
As a weapon of war, the opening of a college on humanitarian aid for Gaza.
Not to stand by and watch Palestinian starve.
It's just a fun song. I don't care who you are. That is a fun song. That's how we properly roll up a chord here. Make sure they last longer. Over, under, over, under. Thank you.
What evidence do I have? Hundreds of trucks are waiting to enter. We send parachutes in a place that is 1 hour by car from the next airport. Why don't you stand it by the airport? Because they don't let. It is unacceptable. Starvation is used as a weapon of war. Yes, starvation is used as a weapon of war.
Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz, in response, urged Israel to, quote, stop attacking Israel and recognize a right to self-defense against Hamas's crimes, claiming access to aid on the ground is being hindered by Hamas militants, along with collaboration by the UN's aid agency, UNRWA. That's a claim the United Nations and Western allies reject. The U.S. and dozens of countries halted hundreds of millions of dollars in support in response to the allegations. Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong said Australia will resume the funding.
The best available current advice from agencies and the Australian government lawyers is that UNRWA is not a terrorist organisation, and that existing and additional safeguards sufficiently protect Australian taxpayer funding. Australia has been working with a group of donor countries and with UNRWA on the shared objective of ensuring the integrity of UNRWA's operations, rebuilding confidence, and so importantly, ensuring aid flows to Gazans in desperate need. The Australian government is now finalising an updated funding agreement that will include stringent conditions such as guarantees of staff neutrality and confidence in supply chains. On that basis, and after consideration by the National Security Committee this week, Australia is unpausing our contribution to UNRWA.
UNRWA came under scrutiny earlier this year as Israel claimed that 12 of the agency's employees participated in Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel. Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen said Sunday the allegation should be investigated, but 2 million people should not be held accountable for it. The Supreme Court on Monday continued to block, for now, a Texas law that would give police broad powers to arrest migrants suspected of illegally entering the U.S. while the legal battle it sparked over immigration authority plays out. A one-page order signed by Justice Samuel Alito indefinitely prevents Texas from enforcing a sweeping state immigration enforcement law that had been set to take
Okay,
effect.
and one of the last things I gotta do is mark that I was the running the board here.
This which the Justice Department has argued would step on the federal government's immigration powers. The shares were mixed in Asia Tuesday after the Bank of Japan hiked its benchmark interest rate for the first time in 17 years, ending a long-standing negative rate policy with the stances of
And I'll
most
say
central banks.
goodbye.
It said that the wage increases and other indicators suggest that inflation had stabilized above the Bank of